In one. What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast, the highlight of Friday nights. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic Friday evening coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. I am your host, Sports PSP. Alongside me, I have the great panel, two of my Georgia brothers. First, BRF Sports. Please go like and go follow his IG, his TikTok. Follow him on social media, man. Brother knows a lot about his sports and everything else going on in life. Brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, PSP. It's an honor to be back on here. I know I took last weekend off. You know, that was the last night I had with the Munchkin, so I had to get the family time in. But it's always a pleasure to hop on here, join two of my favorite people in the world on the highlight of Friday night, because this is what we do. It's always a pleasure to hop on here, and I'm ready to get into some of these topics, man. Because sports, sports world, just sports world, and I mean, what you say, always stuff going on. So I'm ready to get into it, and I'm ready to have some fun tonight. Ready to cut up a little bit.
Absolutely, man. We always gonna have a show on Friday nights because we always gonna perform. We're gonna entertain. We're gonna give the audience a show that they expect. And of course, we cannot do the Sports PSP podcast without Columbus, Georgia's own, the four-time college degree champion, military man and veteran, officer, smart, brilliant, genius, the young Charles Barkley, the Al Roker of journalism. Even though he's on his diet and fitness regime, he will be back at daiquiris and po' boys, bartenders, waiters, waitresses. Better make sure you give Champ a big check because he's going to be ordering come football season. Always a pleasure to be on the pod. Brilliant, knowledgeable, funny, charismatic guy, one of the great human beings that I know. Happy to have him. He's more than a friend. He's like a brother to me. Undisputed world champ. How you doing, brother?
PSP, man. Good to be back on here, man. Long week, man. Been working hard as hell, man. Hey, man, a lot of your work ethic been rubbing off on me. Not that I didn't work hard anyway, but I mean, a lot of your stuff been rubbing off on me. I've been applying it everywhere. We finally got that network project completed. So, so we got that completed today. So that was good. Hey, quick shout out to the victims of the floods in Milwaukee. You know, we talked to Flash yesterday, and it barely missed them. Well, on Monday, and it barely missed them. So, quick shout out to the victims of the flood up there. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, and also to the people in Washington D.C. We love y'all as well. So, big shout out to those two places. They're going through a hard time at this point in time. To send our love, our thoughts and prayers to both of those places, because guess what? They're a big part of what we do around here. So, if you're in Milwaukee and Washington D.C., amen. A hug from God from us. So we love you guys.
Absolutely. Want to make sure that everyone is safe and well. And please feel free to donate or contribute any way possible. But fellas, man, a lot to talk about because after all, as Undisputed World Champ coined the term, the highlight of Friday nights. Now, I've told y'all before, man, look, I haven't been watching First Take as much, but there was a certain individual that came on First Take, a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. That would happen to be one Denzel Washington. And Denzel, with Spike Lee, he had a lot to say about the Dallas Cowboys. This is what he specifically said on First Take. I've been a Cowboys fan since the 60s. Jerry Jones is making it hard for me not to be a fan because I'm still a Cowboys fan. I'm still going to have that star on the side of that hat. But he ain't thinking about us. He's thinking about his pocket. And he also said, I don't like what Dallas is doing. I don't know if they're making a lot of money, and I'm happy for their owner, but the fans ain't happy. And he also said all money ain't good money. Now, the Cowboys, they are the most valuable franchise in the NFL with an estimated value of more than $10 billion. But they haven't been to the conference championship game since the 95-96 season. I was in diapers. BRF and Champ were few years before the age of 10. I love what Denzel had to say. Go ahead, Denzel. I mean, look, man, he echoed everything what the Dallas Cowboys fans would want to say about Jerry Jones. And he's the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. We can talk about the players, and players deserve culpability because when you get those big time contracts, it comes with a certain responsibility. But at the same time, who's the one who's put forth this team? Jerry. He's the one who's buying all these ingredients to cook this meal. The buck stops with him. Jerry wants credit. So for Denzel to say that, and it had to hurt Denzel because, again, he is a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. I mean, let's be honest. Every team so far, and shout out to BRF Sports because he brought up this point. Every team in the NFC has been to an NFC championship game more recently than Dallas, including my Washington Commanders. And that is astonishing because for a franchise that has more than $10 billion, America's team, you would have thought they would have at least been to one, maybe two, maybe three conference championship games. Forget the fact that they haven't won a Super Bowl, champ. I'm not really holding that they haven't won a Super Bowl, but you haven't been to one nor a conference championship game either. Damn, 30 years. That's like champ staying away from the bar of Waffle House from 30 years. I find that hard to believe. I mean, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. That's like BRF. That's like BRF never attending another wrestling event again a day in his life. I find that hard to believe.
I've never attended a wrestling event in my life, just so you know.
I'm surprised you've never done that. That's shocking to me.
I've never been to one. I've never been to one.
Not even a house show?
I've never been to a. I've never been to. I've never been to a televised event. I've never been to a house show. I have never been to one.
Oh, we got to change that in a hurry, bro. When the minute he comes back to Georgia, I'm coming to get you. Like the minute something comes back to Georgia, I'm coming to get you.
You got to go to a wrestling event, my brother. You got
to trust me. You know, because the crazy part about it is when I took that vacation to Florida, they had the big Atlanta weekend, Great American Bash Evolution. I was on vacation in Florida, which don't get me wrong, I don't mind, but it was like, nah.
But back to the subject at hand, you got to go stop at a you got to stop at a wrestling event, BRF. But Jerry, man, what Denzel said is the truth. Dallas Cowboys ain't going anywhere. They still have not signed Michael Parsons to this day. Now you're hearing reports about him possibly being traded to the Packers. Jerry. And look, I don't want to be too hard on Jerry because he admitted what he went through physically with the stage 4 cancer, and God bless him. Hope Jerry is doing well. But at the same time, I'm talking about Jerry Jones, the owner, the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. You're getting older. I don't expect you to change. I've said it before, champ. When you reach a certain point in age and when you have the money like Jerry has, you ain't changing. You're not changing. You are not changing. And you hope that Stephen Jones or somebody else who takes over the Dallas Cowboys doesn't end up making the same exact mistakes as Jerry. But I don't expect anything from the Dallas Cowboys. This is where they're going to be, and this is where they'll still be when Jerry Jones is the owner. I love what Denzel Washington had to say because as much as he is a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, he spoke the truth. Now, as far as what he said about with sports media, champ, about people with their opinionaires, people giving opinions based on the fact that he's never done something, I don't agree with necessarily. Because if we're going to go by people who've actually done things, then I'm supposed to take advice, basketball expertise from Kendrick Perkins. And we all know his basketball takes. We all know how bad his basketball takes are. I mean, y'all think chitlins and pig's feet is bad. Kendrick Perkins basketball takes is definitely in that ballpark or even worse.
Whew.
So I do agree. I will say with Denzel, look, just because you never played sports, professional sports, doesn't mean you're unqualified to speak it. I know my sports, never played professional sports in my life, but I do know my sports. So does Brandon from the block. So does Picking Spreads. Donnie. So is Broad. So is you, Champ. So is you, BRF. So is everyone else. To me, it's about how do you study? How do you analyze the game? Like, what is it about your opinion that separates you compared to everyone else? Now, again, we've heard some bad takes from people who haven't played sports before. Nick Wright. Okay. I mean, we've heard his takes before, but we've also heard bad takes from people who played sports. Kendrick Perkins, Paul Pierce, Ryan Hollins. So to me, there are other people who know sports and have played it well. Kenny the Jet Smith. I like when he breaks down X's and O's and things of that nature. Dennis Rodman. When you actually listen to Dennis Rodman, say whatever you want about Dennis Rodman in terms of off the court. But when it comes to basketball, Dennis Rodman knows basketball. And LeBron knows his basketball. D. Wade knows his basketball. Kobe, rest his soul, knows his basketball. So I don't agree with Denzel from the standpoint that just because you never play, that doesn't mean you can't speak it. We never play professional sports, but we speak it. And heck, you and I, Champ, last week in our conversation, Michelle Obama, what she said about ESPN being reality TV, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, or the Kardashians. Hey, the first lady had to listen to what Sports PSP, Undisputed World Champ, BRF, everyone else has said. Apparently, she's been paying attention to our pod. Shout out, First Lady. You the GOAT. So for me, as far as Denzel, I have no problem with what he said about the Dallas Cowboys because he just he spoke the truth. Anyone wants to argue or disagree with him, please. As for what he said about the sports media stuff, I don't agree with him entirely because, like I said, if we're gonna go by people who've been there and done it, we're supposed to listen to Kendrick Perkins. And needless to say, his basketball takes are basura. So, Undisputed World Champ, the floor is yours, big fella.
Number one, what's so ironic about Denzel speaking about the Dallas Cowboys is that Jerry openly admitted. I mean, I remember you commenting on the video of mine on TikTok. He openly admitted that the Cowboys were a 24/7, 365-day-a-year soap opera. And when news gets slow about the Cowboys, he stirs it up on purpose. He openly admitted that. That's the craziest thing about it. So you mean to tell me when ain't nothing going on in your house clean, it's mopped, it's swept, you got Pine Sol, and you got that smell going on, the Pine Sol and bleach going on, you got the jazz playing. Rather than just keeping that going so the players won't get distracted and, you don't cause a stir with the media, you would rather steal fruit punch all over your floor. That's what that is. You're literally still spilling fruit punch on your floor that you just spent hours mopping and sweeping. It gets to a point, everybody knows that Jerry, once you get to a certain age, you got millions, billions of dollars that you're not paying. But the thing is, what brings the Yankees, the Lakers, the Raiders, the University of Miami, Boston, what brings those glam teams the attention? What brought them the attention in the first place was winning. That's what brought them the attention. That's what brought the Cowboys the attention. Winning 2 Super Bowls in the 70s, winning three in the 90s. Even after Roger Staubach retired, going to 3 straight NFC championships with Danny White. That's what got you the notoriety that you have today is because of winning. And I'm sorry to say, you kind of lose your luster and drama when you start losing or when you're not up to par with the standard. The standard for the Dallas Cowboys, especially with me growing up, my mother's a Cowboys fan. And my father's a San Francisco 49ers fan. I'm the only Falcons fan in my house. So hearing them talk every year to each other earlier in the 90s about Super Bowls, the standard for the 49ers and the Cowboys was always Super Bowls. When did it turn from being Super Bowl caliber team, the standard of the league, to being a circus? Oh, I'll pinpoint when it started, when he fired Jimmy Johnson because his ego was too big. That's when it started. I remember not too long ago, Jerry Jones said, I will spend any amount of money in order for me to win a Super Bowl. The check will be super large. The check will be super large. Okay, do you really think that you're helping this team by starting stuff? Do you really think you are helping this team by keeping them in the news for all the wrong reason? Do you really think that you're helping this team by not signing your best defensive player to a long-term deal? Do you think you're helping it by keeping them in drama? No, you're not. Denzel was right on the money with everything that he said. And the thing is, we talked about this last week. Sports has gotten away from sports journalism, I would say. Sports journalism have gotten away from the Jim Lampeys of the world, the Burt Sugars of the world, the Howard Cosell of the world, even the Walter Cronkite, for guys who can remember on CBS. We've gotten away from
rest his soul, Stuart Scott.
Yes, rest his soul, Stuart Scott. John Clayton, God rest his soul. Charlie Steiner.
Chris Mortensen.
Yes, Chris Mortensen. God rest his soul. They've gotten away from how pure journalism was to the drama of it. The drama. The thing is, you don't have to put drama in sports. Drama will produce itself. Sports is kind of like gangster rap. You don't have to put drama in there. It's going to produce it by itself. You don't have to. Because the thing is, if Dallas goes 1-3, the drama of the sports is going to be, is it time for Jerry to retire? Whenever something happens in the NFL, it doesn't matter what team, it produces drama on its own. Football and the WNBA are the only two sports where you can literally sit back and watch the game and the drama gonna produce itself. You don't really need a lot of drama. The drama's gonna produce itself. Only thing you got to do is sit back and watch. The storylines are gonna produce itself as the season unfolds. In week 1, the storylines is gonna start. If Dallas goes out there and just pummels somebody 49-0, the drama is going to start. But you don't need to introduce drama into sports. The sport itself tells a story, and a story is drama. And that's what journalism has gotten away from. You ain't got to put a whole lot of drama and the controversy in there. I've said this a million times. And me and Flash, we even talked about it, and BRF as well. Drama without talent is useless. You can make a hell of a lot more money. You can do a hell of a lot more damage in viewership and everything if you just showcase the talent, because the drama is going to produce itself automatically. Especially when you got teams like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are good. When they're good, the drama produces itself. Cowboys are good. It's not like there's some slapstick team that is not doing anything in this league. There's a reason why we put them in conversations that we put them in. They're good. There's a reason why. They had a hell of an offseason. They did a hell of a job in the draft. They went and got George Pickens to go alongside of CeeDee Lamb, who is a top 5 receiver in this league. Drama is going to produce itself with that alone. Because automatically when you have a great draft in Dallas on top of a good team that you already have, then you add a George Pickens, who's a dynamic wide receiver. The first thing that people are going to start talking about is, oh man, is this the second coming of Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin? Is this going to produce a Super Bowl? Do Dak finally got what he needed in order to get there? That's what it's going to produce. You can't help it. It's going to produce itself. But when you start But now we get so caught up in the drama that we forget the talent and how the story produces itself. Football and the WNBA are the only two sports where the drama is going to unfold. It's going to unfold by itself. All you got to do is just watch it. You're going to see storylines. You're going to see storyline within storyline. And if you look hard enough, you're going to see something within the game that's going to say, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. So Denzel was right on the money, especially with the commentators and everything that he was around, especially when he would be at the Laker games. This ain't the first time that he's had an opinion on anything as far as sports is concerned. He used to have strong opinions about my Los Angeles Lakers. He used to sit courtside all the time.
Die-hard
Laker fan. So, yeah. The thing is, there used to be a stigma on Jerry Jones. He was compared at one point, Ness. He was compared at one point to George Steinbrenner in the 90s. And the comparison was, those are the only two owners that spend money, that want to make money and they want to win. Those are the only two. He was compared to George Steinbrenner back then. Because we know George Steinbrenner, God rest his soul, and even to this day with his sons, we know that they will spend a huge check to bring in a free agency for the Yankees to win a championship. They've done it twice. They've done it millions of times. Back then, that was the stigma on Jerry. Him and George Steinbrenner are one and the same. They spend money in order to make money, and they spend money in order to win almost simultaneously, and they were the only two owners have done that. I feel like as time has gone on, Jerry has gotten away from the George Steinbrenner formula, and he's went on to the more of a drama formula than anything else. Like I said, when you talk about George Steinbrenner, you think about big-time free agents. You think about, and even when he signed a great player, it produced drama within itself. It produced drama within itself. When he signed Alex Rodriguez, that produced drama within itself because people are asking themselves, okay, who's the best baseball player on this team? Is it A-Rod or is it Derek Jeter? Who's the true captain? People are asking themselves that. Not to mention, A-Rod was supposed to go to Boston, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So when did we get away from being like George Steinbrenner and just being an owner that's full of drama and that is just constantly bringing distraction to the team, whether it be firing a two-time Super Bowl winning head coach, bringing in coaches that you know are yes men, inviting coaches over in order to have beer and nachos, not paying your star player as far as Micah Parsons is concerned, having these shirts when your running back was negotiating called Zeke Who, and doing all of that old nonsense. When did we go from being the George Steinbrenner of football to being just a drama queen and being the Kris Jenner of football? When did we go from being the George Steinbrenner of football to being the Kris Jenner of football? Because that's exactly what Jerry is at this point. He's the Kris Jenner of football. He loves drama. He loves bringing in storylines that don't need to be there. He loves controversy. Whereas George, he wanted to win. The story and the drama will itself.
Not just George Steinbrenner, champ, rest his soul, your owner, Dr. Jerry Buss. Because regardless of all the stars and stuff, Jerry Buss decided to win. Now, he made some controversial moves, such as trading Shaq, but in the end, Dr. Buss eventually pulled it off because of winning. But, champ, to your point, Jerry don't care about that now. His emphasis on winning, his answer of winning is making money, getting headlines, getting reviews, making sure that the fans pack the Cowboys Stadium, making sure that diehard Cowboys fans, whether you like them or not, going to pack the stands, going to pack the arena. And that's all it is with Jerry at this point. And it's a damn shame because, again, to your point, champ, how many times we got to say this? This is the same Jerry Jones that had to be talked out of drafting Johnny Manziel by his son, Stephen Jones. And he drafted Zach Martin, which was the excellent choice. Zach Martin is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And when you look at Jerry, Jerry is not an idiot. He's not stupid. But there are times I do kind of ask myself, Jerry, who the hell slapped you in the head? Have you fallen off your chair? What type of drink have you been sipping on? And I'm sorry, champ. I know I hate to go this. Mama champ, what you have done to your son is criminal of itself. Making your son take his time to watch Dallas Cowboy games. That is criminal. What's next, Mama Champ? You gonna make Champ watch Saints games for all we know? You gonna do that to him? You gonna put him through that type of
games, man? Please.
No,
don't make my boy watch Spencer Rattler, please.
Like I said, look, the reason I watch those games because I got tired of seeing her damn near break the TV every Sunday. And like I said, she works every Sunday, man, because you need
to tell them to go to a bar or something if she's gonna get mad at something.
I mean, look, just being real, man. That's moms. I gotta watch them. It's like, hey, could you watch the Cowboys for me? And yeah, I'll watch them when you go to work on Sunday because, like I said, I don't want you to break another television. So I'm just being real. So yeah, I watch the Cowboys because of my mom. My mom's a diehard, just like I watched the San Francisco 49ers because of my dad. So the difference is San Francisco is not full of drama. Dallas is. When I think of the San Francisco 49ers, I think of a fine-tuned corporation that you don't really, especially when Eddie DeBartolo was the owner. You know what I'm saying? So you think about a fine-tuned corporation without a lot of drama, without a lot of anything. Don't forget, during their Super Bowl runs, when they were winning Super Bowls in the 80s and even the 90s, when they was the 94-49, remember the biggest story coming out of there in the entire time of there was the quarterback controversy between Steve Young and Joe Montana. And when they won in the 94, remember Deion Sanders had beef with Jerry Rice because, Deion loved to party and he stayed out all times during the night before the Super Bowl. Those were the biggest two stories ever. When Bill Walsh retired, it wasn't even a big story. It was a huge story for the football world, but they realized, okay, we got George Seifert. He could take over this team. And he won the Super Bowl the very next year. So even when you think about the Niners and the Cowboys, people love to compare them. They're so
different. They're so different.
Yes. The 49ers are this corporation, this corporate attitude, nothing gets in or out. Hey, we're going to handle stuff within and everything like that, just like it was back in the 80s when Eddie DeBartolo was there. When you think about the Cowboys, it's business in the front, party in the back. But like I said, man, mom with the Cowboys, man, I got to take her to one of them games when they come back to the Dome. I already got her Emmitt Smith jersey and stuff like that. Got to watch the documentary for her on Sunday when the Cowboys come out. But yeah, man, I do anything for mom, man. That's moms, man. Mom, I ain't finna, man, moms. Hey, man, I'm starting
to believe more and more Champ Pryor is becoming a Dallas Cowboy fan.
That will never happen. That will never happen. You have a better chance. You have a better chance of seeing Ice Cube eat a pork chop. And we know you got a better chance of seeing Mr. O'Shea Jackson eat a pork chop. So that's what. Yeah. You got a better chance of it. You have a better chance of that happening to be given a Cowboys fan.
But Champ, before I let BRF go, they are like, I'm sorry. It's like Celebrity Apprentice. It's like Celebrity Apprentice. It's like Jerry Jones is the former president hiring all these people and then ultimately firing them and then getting his ratings, his revenue, man. It's like watching reality TV. That's just where it is at this point.
No, I still eating a pork chop. I'm done. I'm so good.
When I was a kid, BRF, I don't think PSPs understands the hatred that Atlanta fans have for the 49ers and the Cowboys. Our division, but we hate the Cowboys and we hate the Niners. Remember, the Niners used to be in our division before the realignment was concerned.
Yeah, because because Atlanta was in the NFC West before the realignment happened.
Yes,
Right.
indeed. So we used to hate the 49ers and we hated them damn Cowboys, probably because they was kicking our ass up and down the floor for years until we got to that team in like 92. I think it was the Miracle in 92. Well, 91, excuse me, too legit to quit era. But yeah, every year we was getting the first number 1 overall pick while the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls. And yeah, we hated the Cowboys. And like I said, I'm an Atlanta fan because of my grandmother. My grandmother was a huge Atlanta Falcons fan. In fact, I still have the news article in Mom's shed, about the 98 Cowboys when we went to the Super Bowl, because nobody thought we was going to beat the Vikings. BRF, you know that perfectly. Nobody thought we was going to beat Randy Moss and the Vikings. So I am a Atlanta Falcons fan and a Georgia Bulldogs fan because of my grandmother and my uncle. My mom and dad, it was a house divided. Dad was a 49ers fan. Mom was a Cowboys fan. But yeah, I watch the Cowboys because of Mom, man. Mom is the greatest, so I'm going to watch them so she won't get upset and get mad and get angry at everybody on the team, because I've seen her get riled up some days. But, man, look, Cowboys, and people are going to say the minute that Jerry Jones either steps back or other things happen, they'll get better. But we said the same thing about the Las Vegas Raiders when Al Davis was alive. We said the minute that they get off, that Al Davis leaves this earth, that's when the Raiders were going to get better, right? We all said that. The minute he leaves, they're going to get better. Hell, they worse off than what they were.
I don't recall saying that, but
I never said it personally.
Yeah,
Mark Davis. But if Mark Davis is learning from his predecessor, his father, the old saying, like father, like son. And when you've seen some of the decisions that Mark Davis has made, I'm sorry, champ, hiring Josh McDaniels, to which you were like, shit.
I wouldn't hire Mike McDaniel. I wouldn't hire Josh McDaniels to work my kitchen at night. So I mean, and I ain't got nothing in the damn refrigerator right about now, but them damn meal prep meals. I wouldn't hire him to hand me them in the morning time, much less. And the thing was this: DJ Williams gave us the blueprint on why Josh McDaniels went 6-0. Remember, they had a mini Spygate out there in Denver, and they got a huge fine for it. Remember, after that Spygate, they started losing. So I don't know. Maybe we need to point the finger towards Spygate more to Josh McDaniels to Josh McDaniels than anything, because it happened in New England, right?
And
then he went to Denver and did a mini Spygate. They got fined and found out for that. So where there's smoke, there's fire. You could talk about Tom Brady, but we really need to be focusing on Josh McDaniels, which read it to that what you will. Hey, man, a lot of conspiracy theories in this world come to find out they true.
Well, you've always said everybody ain't lying. You have said that. BRF.
Oh boy, how to follow that? I definitely do respect what Denzel Washington said, because I mean, I think a lot of times as fans of our respective teams, a lot of times we get blinded by fandom, we get blinded by loyalty. But sometimes, you know, if you're a true fan of the team, you got to speak truth and you got to be real with it, and you got to let them know, like, you're not doing this correctly. You're not doing this correctly. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I've always tried to be like that as an Atlanta sports fan, regardless of who it is. Like, I'm not one of those fans just blinded by, like, you know, regional loyalty. Like, I've been a big critic. Like if I could just talk about the Hawks for a little bit, I've been a big critic as far as like the Hawks and their front office and their spending and, you know, getting or not getting, you know, talent around Trae Young. And this year it appears that they finally done it for once, because they finally built a team correctly around him. The Falcons, y'all need a pass rush. You need a pass rush. You need a pass rush. You need a pass rush. They go out and draft Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. in the first round. People are criticizing James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr. looks to be every bit what we told you he was going to be so far. And now looking at the Dallas Cowboys, it's just you said this on numerous occasions, PSP, and I can't agree with you anymore. The worst thing that could have happened for the Dallas Cowboys franchise was Jerry Jones firing Jimmy Johnson, hiring Barry Switzer, and winning Super Bowl 30. That was like the worst thing that could have happened, because that ego went into sicko mode. Because right then and there, it's like, as long as I got the players, it don't matter who my coach is. As long as I got the talent, though, I'm gonna get it done. But then after the next season, it kind of hit like, oh, yeah, these are Jimmy Johnson's players, aren't they? Yeah. He won with Jimmy Johnson. He won with Jimmy Johnson's players, and now you kind of got that. You got that honeymoon phase out the way because they were focused. And like, real quick before I keep going, have you ever, in the history of the National Football League, seen a bigger pendulum swing as far as one player changing teams? Like Deion Sanders leaving Atlanta, going to San Francisco, winning the Super Bowl with them. Leaves San Francisco, goes to Dallas, wins the Super Bowl with them. Have you ever seen that? I don't think we've had a player like that cause that type of pendulum swing since Deion Sanders winning the Super Bowl back-to-back years with the 49ers and the Cowboys. I don't think we've seen it. But Jerry, like, I think the reason, and another thing, like a reason, why a lot of these like glamour teams, they put themselves back in the spotlight and they win, because ultimately it's down to who you have in the right positions, who knows how to make decisions that can better affect their franchise in order to win. As far as putting that's my niece, bless her soul. But anyways, it's just a matter of having guys in the right positions that can make these decisions, that can get them in the right position to win. And that's something that Jerry Jones is like, some years you think he's got it, and some years he definitely doesn't show it. And right now he's not showing it at all. And even though I get sick of talking about the Dallas Cowboys, it's kind of a shame to that franchise, because I feel like when the Dallas Cowboys are winning football games and they're in contention, the league is better. I mean, we could talk about it. We could talk about them all we want, but at the end of the day, they're in that tier of franchise in sports. You know, the Boston Celtics of the world, the LA Lakers of the world, the New York Yankees of the world. When they're winning, the sport is better. There's more eyes on the product. I mean, the merch is selling. I mean, it is what it is. We can clown about the Dallas Cowboys all we want to, but when they are a successful franchise, the league is better. Point blank, period. We can run from it all we want, but truth is truth. But with that being said, I don't have a problem at all with what Denzel Washington said, because I mean, it's the truth. I mean, you gave Dak Prescott that big ridiculous contract. He had an injury plague 2024. Luckily, giving CeeDee Lamb all that money did not backfire, because CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 receiver in this league. So that did not backfire at all. If anything, he stepped his game up after he got that money. So shout out to CeeDee Lamb. But I kind of figured, when we were talking about it last offseason, we knew if two of the core 3 got their money, it was going to hurt one of them. See, I thought it was going to be CD, because I felt like at the end of the day, I feel like the wide receiver is a more replaceable position than the other two, because you can go wide receiver by committee as long as your quarterback is putting the ball on them and making the right decisions and making good plays. You can still win. Micah Parsons, if he gets away from Dallas, he's going to be a hard replace. I mean, We can say what we want about the run defense because the run defense is still god awful. But let me tell you something. Having a Micah Parsons being the disruptor that he is in that front seven, it takes burden away from your other players. It makes them have to think less. It makes the offensive line, it makes the offensive coordinator have to think more as far as how to account for him. Does he single him? Does he double team him? Does he chip him with a tight end? I mean, you got to look for stunts. You got to look for zone blitzes. There's so many things you have to look for with Micah Parsons because he's just that type of disruptor. But Jerry's just like I honestly don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he hasn't already given him a contract. Honestly, he's got two choices at this point. If you're going to commit to Micah, go ahead and do it. But if you're not going to do it, you better get a handsome fee for him. Because Micah Parsons is worth a handsome fee. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, oh gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm a team on the fringe of contending for a Super Bowl, like the Green Bay Packers, like the Atlanta Falcons, like the LA Rams, if you're on the team on the fringe and you need that pass rusher to kind of make it that much sicker for your team. Now I'm glad he said the LA. I'm glad he said the LA Rams. I would love to see Micah Parsons on the LA Rams.
If I'm Jerry, I trade Micah to the AFC. I don't want him to go to the NFC. If I'm Dallas,
but at the same time, if you're Jerry Jones, you may would rather him go to the AFC. But at the end of the day, you got to go where the package is. You
better get at least a couple of first round picks and a third or something. And can you imagine Kansas City would pair up with Karlaftis, the defense, the pass rusher from Kansas City? Can you imagine him with Karlaftis and Chris Jones? And that's a huge steal for Kansas City. But the thing is, Jerry, you brought it on yourself. You intentionally mispronounce Micah's name. It's not like Undisputed World Champ. Undisputed World Champ constantly mispronounces Micah Parsons by calling him Mika, but he doesn't mean it in an offense in a disrespectful way. He still has a hard time pronouncing the name. But
it's a goddamn I. It's that I.
But Jerry intentionally called Micah Michael. And he's doing this so blatantly, kind of, Champ, to your point, how he mentioned about Zeke who. Jerry, at some point in time, controversy and drama is not going to help with the Dallas Cowboys. And I told you, Champ, despite the Cowboys with the offseason, I felt like they didn't deserve to be for the season opener against the Eagles. There are other teams that are more worthy or deserving, like the Rams, like the Commanders. Heck, if you want to use the Packers, I don't know if they're playing the Packers this season. I have to double check the regular season. If you want to pick the Packers, if you want to pick any other team, fine. But the Cowboys, and again, Champ, we're giving the Dallas Cowboys more attention that, in my opinion, they don't really deserve. Because all we talk about is just drama. Champ, I'm sorry. And this is where I respectfully disagree with you, big fella. I want to see somebody else, some other team get the shine, get the recognition, not Dallas. Dallas, even if they're not going to be on the season opener, like I said, they're worth over $10 billion. They make their money. Jerry Jones is not just some owner who just sits back at the press box. No. He is doing press conferences. Normally, when you see press conferences, you see the players, you see the coaches. Jerry doing press conferences. Jerry Jones has his own weekly spot on a radio show. What owner do you know who does that? Jerry can't help himself. It's like therapy session for him. Jerry loves to talk. And when Denzel is saying all the things about the Cowboys, all money ain't good money. That's a fact. Money doesn't always solve your problems. I mean, it's always nice to have money. Don't get us wrong. It's always nice to have money. But in the end, money doesn't always solve everything. What about winning? You've put forth the ingredients, as you mentioned, Champ. Now, what are you going to do? You hire Brian Schottenheimer to be a head coach. We know for a fact that he was never going to hire Sean Payton or Bill Belichick. We knew that was never going to happen. Because do you really think a head coach as accomplished and with dignity is going to allow Jerry Jones telling them what to do? Hell no. Brian Schottenheimer, I mean, he is the son of, rest his soul, Marty Schottenheimer. And again, I feel like he's going to use him just like he did with Jason Garrett and with Mike McCarthy. He's going to use him as a puppet. So, Jerry, my thing is, man, he's not changing. This is where the Dallas Cowboys are going to be, and this is what they'll continuously be. But the fans, you Dallas Cowboys fans, you're at fault as well because you've condoned this behavior from Jerry from far too long. And it's too late at this point, in my opinion. But fellas, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. They brought in some players, Isaiah Bond and Jenkins. I'm sorry, Champ. Who's the running back again? I keep forgetting his name.
They didn't bring him in. He actually got drafted in this. I think it was the second round this year. He just had that assault charge over his head, which they decided not to pursue charges. And with Isaiah Bond, they actually dropped the charges. So they brought him in. And actually, he went undrafted because of that SA charge. He went undrafted because of that, because people didn't want him. Now, in defense to the team, in defense to a lot of teams, they didn't want that. But I mean, I'm surprised. But you look at a team like the Baltimore Ravens that took a chance on Mike Brown, it wouldn't have surprised me if a team did take a chance. But because of that, he didn't get drafted. But Quinshon Jenkins, he had already been there. He was just holding out for a new contract. He was just holding out for contract. And Isaiah Bond, drafted for, as far as he just got signed.
The wide receiver from Texas.
Yes, he just got signed after his charges were dropped, and now he's being brought in as an undrafted free agent. That's what's happening.
I'm reading the article right here. The SA case against former Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond has been no filed, and he faces no further criminal charges. Collin County, Texas District Attorney Greg Willis said Thursday, after reviewing all the evidence presented, a Collin County grand jury returned a no bill in the sexual assault charge involving Isaiah Bond, meaning no indictment will be issued. Willis said in the statement, this concludes the criminal proceedings in this matter. And regarding with an incident with Quinshon Jenkins, who again, remember, he won't face any battery charges. This is regarding an incident back in July 12th. Jenkins was arrested on a misdemeanor domestic violence and battery charge in Fort Lauderdale. According to the arrest report, the incident happened 5 days before the arrest, but was not reported until that day. According to the report, Jenkins, after showing frustration after reading text messages from his family, was alleged to have punched a woman with a closed fist in the area of the chin and lip while driving in a vehicle departing Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. Jenkins later allegedly also struck her in the left arm and thigh. The woman showed officers photographs displaying the bruising. And the memorandum, I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing them. The memorandum read. Thank you, Champ. I mean, I have issues pronouncing things too. This incident was not captured on any video surveillance. There are no independent witnesses to the incident. Although the victim had photos showing injuries sustained, there were also videos in that same time frame where no injuries were observed to the victim. Additionally, the victim's injuries depicted in the photos could be explained by either account of the incident. Here are my thoughts regarding the whole thing with Cleveland. I'm glad for these young men that they won't have to face any criminal charges if they're innocent. However, I hope it's a teaching moment for them because, again, Champ and we discussed this prior to the show. Hey, the first time an organization, someone who's going to bring you in, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Now you hope you cannot put yourself involved in these types of situations anymore, because God forbid if you do, you already lost the benefit of the doubt, and people are going to believe that this happened before. People are going to believe, because when you have a history, people are going to accuse, people are going to speculate, people are going to assume that you've been involved with this before. For Cleveland, I'm not really surprised at all, BRF champ, because again, they brought in Deshaun Watson. Despite all the accusations against Deshaun Watson, and they paid him $230 million guaranteed. So Cleveland, to me, it's not really a surprise that they bring in these two players, because obviously they need help for their franchise. They feel like these guys are contributors. So Cleveland is going to do that. I just hope it's a lesson for these young men and just with young people. Now, again, the first time with these accusations, hey, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But if there's another accusation of this again, people are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. People are going to believe that you did this. Fair or unfair, that's how it's going to be perceived. So let's just hope that with these young men and with people in general, that we don't put ourselves involved in these types of situations anymore. Because guess what? If we do, it's going to look horrible for us. It's going to look horrible for the Cleveland Browns organization and everyone in general. So that's what I got to say regarding the situation. What are your thoughts, BRF?
I remember when I was watching the draft and I saw that Cleveland had drafted Quinshon Judkins in the second round, and I was like, steal. Like instantly, I was like, that was a steal, because this is the same cat who led the SEC in rushing and was like already one of the premier backs in all of college football. And then Ohio State gets him to leave. He transfers, goes to Ohio State, and just continues just to grow and show out and be one of the best backs in college football. So I was like, steal. Like, he's got good speed. He can catch ball at the backfield. He's obviously a great runner at the backfield. He's got tremendous vision. I mean, I thought it was a steal. Isaiah Bond, I mean, the Texas wide receiver core last couple of years has been insane. From Xavier Worthy to Golden to with Bond, like just insane. So you're definitely thinking Isaiah Bond has a shot to be a high draft pick, maybe first, possibly second, third round. You thinking he's going to go somewhere, and the trouble is just teams didn't want to touch that. And I mean, and you have to understand that you have to look at a team from a standpoint of protecting their investment, protecting the logo, protecting their investment, protecting their image. Now, at the same time, though, we are talking about the Cleveland Browns, who we can't say a whole lot about the image at this point, because you gave we're gonna stay away from the nickname. Damn it, Champ. We trying to stay away from the nicknames, and here you go. Damn it, Champ.
Y'all know he gave. Hey, it's not my fault, Cleveland, that you gave Mr. Marcus $250 million. You gave Mr. Marcus $250 million. That ain't my fault.
Anyways, so Cleveland decided to give Mr. Touch My Body $230 million. I mean, I'm just saying. Now that we going there with the nicknames, shout out Brandon from the Block. Still one of the greatest recorded clips in the history of podcasts. When he first dropped that nickname, that's legendary. That's Hall of Fame worthy. But I mean, you really can't be surprised by Cleveland bringing them in. You can't be surprised. But yeah, like, accountability has to come in from this juncture, from this standpoint in their careers. They can't let this happen again. Neither one of them. They just can't. Because you're going to be brought in with the talent on that team. You're being brought in with an immediate chance to make an impact, to get quality snaps. I mean, let's face it. The only good wide receiver Cleveland has on that squad is Jerry Jeudy, because Jerry Jeudy finally broke out. So, I mean, Isaiah Bond's going to get a shot to come in and compete and get good playing time off the bat. And Quinshon Judkins, I mean, he could start from day one. He's got that time. He's got that kind of talent. He could start from day one. Nick Chubb's not there anymore. So basically, you're looking at I think Jerome Ford's still there. You got him. I mean, the depth chart ain't exactly the greatest to really come in and be like, oh man, Quinshon Judkins probably gonna have to sit. No, he could come in and start immediately. So it's mainly about being accountable, taking this forward, not putting yourself in a situation like that again. Is what it boils down to. And please, for the love of God, play better. Play better after your mistakes than Deshaun Watson did after his mistakes. Because he is arguably the worst contract in the history of sports. I mean, it's up there with some of the worst transactions ever.
Worse than Albert Hainsworth?
Yes. Yes, because all his money was guaranteed. So no matter,
I think
all of your money is guaranteed. You can pretty much go to the bathroom and pee and then leave the damn facility unless you do something that's detrimental to the team as far as team standards. They're gonna you pretty much, that's your money. With Albert Hainsworth, he lost a lot of money once he left Washington. He didn't get all of that money. All that money wasn't guaranteed to him. And plus, when you think about that, and when you think about him being a defensive tackle, guess what? He was a good addition to that team, but he wasn't the focal point of that team. He wasn't an offensive lineman, a left tackle, or in Deshaun Watson's case, a quarterback. Yeah, Albert Hainsworth was a flat-out bust. But as far as free agency was concerned, kind of lazy, to be kind, to be honest with you. But the thing is, he wasn't in a pivotal position like the quarterback position to where he's going to affect every aspect of the game. Defensive tackle is a big position, make no mistake. But he wasn't going to be that guy that was going to have the most influence over the game.
This is where I disagree, champ, because that's why they signed Albert Hainsworth to join that defensive line in the first place. Albert Hainsworth at the time was the numero uno best defensive tackle in the entire National Football League, and there was no debate, none at all. He was brought in to be just this unstoppable force to add to that defensive line to make something of that. So I disagree a little bit. He was brought in to basically affect every snap he played on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he was the best defensive tackle in football at the time. Although I agree, the Deshaun Watson deal is a bigger bust. I think we need to put more light on the fact Albert Hainsworth was brought in to be a generational defensive record for the Washington Redskins and did not live up to it at all. We were counting. Now I will say this about Hainsworth. The thing about that is, I think we were kind of a little worried about that too, because he showed glimpses of that in Tennessee, the attitude issues, like where he got in trouble, the stomping incident where he got in trouble for that. He showed bad glimpses of that. But even though he showed those glimpses of that in Tennessee, he was the best defensive tackle in football. He did everything. He did everything. He could stop the run. He could rush the passer. He affected the game for the Tennessee Titans on defense from the defensive line so many different ways. Washington saw that and gave him that money. So although the Deshaun Watson is worse because he is the quarterback, he is the guy, that Albert Hainsworth deal is not to be slept on. I think it's worse, but I don't think it's far way worse, because Albert Hainsworth was brought in to really be the next big thing, and he never lived up to that at all. Now, going back to the Deshaun Watson thing, I think not only from the standpoint that the $230 million was guaranteed, but also from the standpoint of when he missed those 11 games his first year there, and he got in to play those final like 5 or 6 or whatever, he started off kind of slow. But as the year kind of progressed, he wasn't showing his full self. But you saw some of the drives, and you were like, okay. You see it a little bit. Okay, give him the full off season. Give him the full off season to work with his receivers, to work with his offensive skill players. Let him build the camaraderie. Let him build the chemistry. Maybe we might have something, because I remind people this all the time. After the 2020 season, I did a TikTok video, and that was like my first one that really went big. I did a TikTok video. Top 5 quarterbacks after the 2020 season. I had Deshaun Watson third. I had him third. And the evidence was there. Granted, the Houston Texans was horrible and weren't even sniffing the playoffs. That man had one of the greatest seasons I have ever seen from a quarterback from a team that lost more than 10 games. I mean, it was in no way, shape, or form. 2020 was in no way, shape, or form at his fault at all. Like
this
the
is
like
at
40.
the time, this is at the time when the Houston
40,
Texans they traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals, and they didn't even get a first-round pick. They basically traded him for a tuna sandwich and Skittles.
They traded him for the corpse of David Johnson is basically what they traded for. And the fact that you still got that 2020 out of Deshaun Watson with no wide receivers to speak of, and then just watching him in Cleveland and just basically watch him basically crumble. And it's just, and I know the injuries and I know it was the injuries, the time off. I get that. But you've had time.
To football.
But exactly. You've had time. Yeah, you've had time to work with these guys.
No one has been a bigger critic of Deshaun Watson than Undisputed World Champ. Because anytime, and again, he looks at his social media. Anytime when he's on social media, you don't really see that much football compared to other athletes, compared to other players. Champ has brought it up numerous times. And look, man, with Isaiah Bond and Jukins, whether he's going to be the quarterback or not for the Cleveland Browns, if you want Shedeur Sanders, who, by the way, unfortunately will not play in the preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles due to an injury, why not give this young man some talent to work with? Even though he's in Cleveland, and Cleveland doesn't really have a lot much to speak about, give him something to work with, whether he becomes the quarterback or not. Again, with Jukins and Bond, we hope for them they don't get themselves we talked about this, champ. We hope that we don't hear these types of incidents like that again, because the first time we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you're involved in this type of situation again, people are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt unless there's absolute facts and proof to go for your argument.
Yeah. In the great words of John Witherspoon, if you get involved in something like that for a second time, that's your ass, Mr. Postman.
Mm-hmm.
And no uncertain terms. That's your ass. And I hate to say it that way, but that's just that. One time people will say, all right, cool. 2 times? Then you lean over to a third? Gotta be careful.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
They may give you the second one, like PSP said. They may give you the second one if the evidence clearly points in your favor, but you still walking a slippery slope.
Yeah, you walking that razor blade, and you got it's only a matter of time for you slip and cut yourself in half. I'm gonna just be real.
Exactly.
I mean, look, don't slide down a razor blade into a pool of alcohol. It don't never turn out right. It never turns out right. But as far as go ahead, my bad.
Oh no, go ahead, champ. I'm sorry.
As far as Deshaun Watson is concerned, look, here's what I could understand. I could understand because outside of Myles Garrett, you don't really hear about his teammates talking about him. And if you really paid attention to what Myles Garrett said to Shedeur Sanders, Pay attention to what he said on the sideline. He said, man, let me get your arm, Bow. Let me get your arm, Bow. He said, no, man, I don't want to hurt you. We gonna need you. When your franchise defensive player says that, it's an ominous sign that somebody has lost faith in you. And the reason why I'm such a big critic of Deshaun Watson is this. Only thing you have to do, keep your nose clean. Even if you wasn't playing well, keep your nose clean. Show everybody that you're working out. Show everybody. It's kind of like making an F on your report card. Show your parents that you're doing your damn schoolwork. Come home, get to the table. Do the things and do your due diligence about what you're supposed to be doing. When you're injured, don't sit your behind up there in the press box. Sit down there with your team and mentor the guys. It's just, and like I said, you can tell about people may argue with me, but I'm just going to be real. And that goes for me as well. You can tell a lot about what a person is by paying attention to their social media. You can tell a lot by the pictures they post, by the stories they post. And like I said, that includes me. You can tell a lot by a person about what they post on social media, what their eyes are on. What are your eyes on? What are your eyes on? Is it on the glamour? Is it on the women? Is it on stuff like that? Or is it on you playing that pigskin? And the thing is, if you really want me to be honest with you, he's the reason why guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and these other guys, these other quarterbacks that are up and coming, there will never be another fully guaranteed contract in the NFL because of Deshaun Watson. Because had he done it right, imagine if they signed all three of us to, okay, we're going to give each y'all $50 million. And I use me as an example because I don't want to use y'all. I go out there and fuck up. But all of us but they gave us full creative control. We produce everything. You realize what type of precedent that sets when you don't do the right thing? The path you take is not your own. So the thing is, had he done right, can you imagine the contract Lamar would have signed? Can you imagine the contract that Josh Allen would have signed? Can you even imagine the contract that Joe Burrow would have signed? You could have set the standard for guaranteed contracts in the NFL. Because the thing is, depending on, look, if you know the world like I know it, the world loves, especially big corporations like the NFL, they love trial runs. They love trial runs, right? So what they'll do is they'll pick one guy, say, get this guy a guaranteed contract. We're going to push him to the moon. He messes up. That sets precedent for everybody. Remember, one of the reasons why Atlanta didn't go after Lamar Jackson was because of the collusion. They were about to pay him. It's documented. Now, to BRF's point, it probably would have took a little bit more than them 2 first-round picks in order to get him, but they was going after him. But because of that whole collusion case and them not wanting to give anybody any more guaranteed money, guess what? That's why this collusion case is in the NFL right now. Because of who? Deshaun Watson. Imagine coming into a league where your contract is fully guaranteed, just like the basketball players. Just like the baseball players. There is no more incentives. When they say 3 years, $40 million, it's 3 years, $40 million. Not no signing bonus, it's fully guaranteed. So the thing is, he messed up the future, not only himself, but Lamar. He messed up the quarterbacks and future collective bargaining. Like I said, he is the exact reason why the NFL has a collusion case on its hand. And like I said, and BRF will argue me to life. I believe that's the reason why we don't have Lamar right now. Like I said, it would have took a hell of a lot more for us to get him. Because I believe Baltimore will let him go for anything less than at least 3 first rounders. But had he done his due diligence, we'd have Lamar, and they probably would have signed him to a $300 million contract. Probably would have been the richest black quarterback to ever be in the NFL. But because of you, guess what? These guys ain't getting fully guaranteed contract. Nobody will ever see a fully guaranteed contract ever again. That's why the path you take is not your own. So you got to be careful with what you do. As far as Cleveland is concerned, these are talented young players that they have. And it seems like Cleveland has been at the center of the universe as of lately. They had the highest rated NFL game in the preseason since 2015, over 2 million viewers with Shedeur Sanders, which he played a hell of a game. They signed Isaiah Bond, and I believe that he has the speed and the capability to go along with Jared Jeudy in order to be something. You have Quinshon Jenkins, who is fresh off of a national championship, who was one of the focal points of that Ohio State offense, who led the SEC in rushing. He led the SEC in rushing long before he went to Ohio State. When he was at Ole Miss, I knew they was not gonna make the playoff once they lost him. You knew they weren't gonna make it. Not that they was gonna make it anyway, because that's how FCC belongs to us right about now. But that's a whole nother story for a whole other day. But yeah, I believe they have a hell of a lot of talented players. Let's just hope that you manage this one the right way, whereas you mismanage Baker Mayfield and all the other talent that you have in the form of Jarvis Landry and guys like that. You mismanage your playoff team. Let's see how you manage your team that's coming up right now, because you have a hell of a lot of talented players. You have talented players. You have some great players on that team, and it starts with Miles franchise. So you drafted pretty well. I mean, your quarterback room, everybody hurt right about now, but
let's see how it pans out.
We'll see how it pans out. But you have the talent in order to at least be decent in this blood and guts division. And the thing is, if you're able to develop the right quarterback in your system, if you're able to develop them, then guess what? The only 2 quarterbacks that you have to worry about in that division is Lamar and Joe. Pittsburgh ain't really got no quarterback right about now. So it'll be a good thing if you get a jump start on them, because eventually they're going to get one.
We shall see. We shall see. But fellas, I want to talk about speaking of another young football player, Rashee Rice from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now again, champ, he may play for these upcoming first 4 weeks. He has a hearing on September the 30th. Now, Rashee Rice, look, obviously, reading the article right here from ESPN. Just want to make sure I give credit right here. Reading an article from Nate Taylor from ESPN, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice is expected to have his disciplinary hearing with the NFL on September 30th in New York. This is what sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter. Sue L. Robinson, who's the former U.S. district judge who served as the disciplinary officer jointly appointed by the NFL and the NFLPA, the Players Association, is scheduled to hear Rice's disciplinary case. The only other NFL disciplinary hearing she has presided over was Deshaun Watson back in 2022. Rice is not likely to be able to play the first 4 weeks of the season before any potential discipline is imposed for his role in a multi-car crash in Dallas that left multiple people injured during the 2024 offseason. And the Chiefs opened the NFL season against the Los Angeles Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Then they play the Eagles, the Giants, and the Baltimore Ravens. Rice was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 5 years of probation for his role in the multi-car crash. He pled guilty in district court for 2 third felony charges, collision involving serious bodily injury and racing on a highway causing bodily injury. Rice received deferred adjudication. The case will be dismissed if he completes the probation. So, for the Kansas City Chiefs, a blessing. because Rashee Rice is coming off of injury. He's one of your talented playmakers on the offensive side of the football. Now, again, there is a possibility he's going to be suspended for the season. Who knows? But he's going to be available for the first 4 weeks. And I mentioned him. They got the Chargers, they got the Eagles, they got the Ravens. Not an easy schedule for the team fresh off from a Super Bowl, and they haven't made any moves in the offseason. Of course, they traded Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears. So with Patrick Mahomes in the offense, even though it is kind of, even though for a Kansas City Chiefs fan, it is kind of good to see Rice back in the first 4 weeks. But again, this situation is still not over. And on top of that, we got to wait and see how he comes back from injury. Because again, he suffered the injury last year in that Chargers game. So, Champ, what are your thoughts about the matter?
I think it's quite ironic that the Chiefs get a delay, because when has Roger Goodell has not immediately imposed punishment? When has that ever happened? Even when Ezekiel Elliott, even while he was appealing it, he was able to play. But
remember Tom Brady back in 2015?
Yeah. So when has he ever delayed it? Like I said, while you're appealing it, you're able to play. But when has he ever delayed it? Okay.
You think it's preferential treatment?
I mean, again, let's just use this in parental terms. If you have a brother, if you constantly get your behind whooped because you go outside and throw rocks at the van, and you damn near break a window, your parents come in and, give you a little whooping, and then your brother goes out, he does the same thing, and they just sit him in the corner and talk to him, what are you going to say?
Nothing, because obviously that's your brother and you don't want that brother in trouble.
The thing is, I'm crying wolf. If I get my ass whooped, you're going to get yours whooped. So that's just me. So just being real. If I got to taste that damn belt, you going to taste it. Shit, I'm just being real. So guess what? I'm going to holler preferential treatment. You went outside and threw rocks. You just as old as I am. You deserve your ass whooped. So that's just me. But that's just how it's going to go. But if you see that happen, then guess what? You're going to cry preferential treatment. Because,
do you think it's preferential treatment because of not just the fact that they're the Chiefs, they've been to numerous Super Bowls, but also off the field because of Patrick Mahomes, because of Travis Kelce, because of who he's currently dating? Right, yeah, and remember, they wanted to have Christmas games.
Yeah, they're the face of the league right now. They're the New England Patriots, except for, Andy Reid is their Bill Belichick. Mahomes is their Tom Brady. Travis Kelce is their Gronk. And then you got the Taylor Swift, the Swiftie factor. So yeah, would you really put your cash cow team in danger to be just suckful for the first 4 weeks? Probably not. And not to mention, there's been a lot of things about the refs in the past said about them as well. So yeah, so it'd be, like I said, there has been a rarity that Roger Goodell has delayed something unless it's being appealed. Like I said, we saw it with Zeke. You could delay it. You can play while it's being appealed, and you're appealing to the judge and stuff like that and stuff like things of that nature. But Roger Goodell said, okay, your punishment is not going to be until after your hearing. You're in training camp right now. The perfect time to have a hearing is right before the season starts.
Which is shocking to me, Champ, because normally you should give the punishment before the season and before training camp. Now you're giving it to September 30th. I mean, I understand from your logic, Champ, because wait a minute. This was back in 2024. Why wasn't he punished the year before, back then in 2024? Because, of course, you can say it, Champ, it is the Chiefs. They are the face of the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, everything else that the Chiefs offer. So, of course, they don't want to jeopardize business, and they don't want to hurt their brand, and they don't want to hurt their money. So I do understand from your standpoint, Champ, but if you're the NFL, if you're Roger Goodell, you want to be about transparency and consistency. If you keep giving a certain team preferential treatment, them other 31 others, they're going to have a problem with it.
Again, he was healthy at the beginning of the year. It's one thing. Look, it's one thing when people are insinuating that you are guilty. It's one thing when people are insinuating he may be guilty, he may be not. We saw this live and in living color on every station.
It was on the news.
Exactly.
We saw it on video. So
exactly. I saw you. You saw me see you. So guess what? You saw it. And not to mention, you had the text message that was going back and forth towards the owner of the vehicle. Because remember, he leased that vehicle. He let him know that, hey, I owe you $1 million for this Lamborghini or Ferrari, whatever type of car it was. So you had all of the evidence right there. So he should have been suspended before he even got hurt last season.
Fair point. BRF.
Honestly, if I'm looking at it, if I'm thinking about it from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective, honestly, I would have preferred them going ahead and getting. If you're gonna be suspended, I'd have preferred him going on getting it out of the way. Get the first 4 or 5, 6 games, whatever you give them, go and get it out the way early. That way, when you come back, we can actually we can run the rest of the season, build the camaraderie back up, build the chemistry back up, and it's all guns a-blazing. If you start off playing and then you get disciplined like middle in the season, that could potentially throw some stuff off as far as the chemistry between him and Mahomes. That could throw that off. And then having to come, depending on how many games he gets, having to come back and then having to find that spark again. I mean, you just never know how things work sometimes. If I'm Kansas City Chiefs, I'd be like, nah, go ahead and get it out of the way. Go ahead and get it out of the way. Because this is like, I don't know. It's just like we've seen it too much with the Kansas City Chiefs. Whether it's like the week after week after week after week, just the calls from the referees, just week after week after week. We've seen it enough, and now
the off season that they had last year with all the dudes getting into trouble.
Everybody getting arrested. Everybody, and it was crazy because we were talking about it last offseason. And it's funny because I think I was one of those that said it like, okay, yeah, they're still because we said at the end of the day, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, all these guys are getting in trouble and all this other stuff. They're still the Kansas City Chiefs.
Smaller market of the Dallas Cowboys, perhaps, because again, they are the team. They are getting their money. I'm sorry, Chip. Unlike the Dallas Cowboys at this current juncture, they're winning. They're winning.
Right, but the thing is, the thing is, when the Cowboys were getting suspended, when Michael Irvin and all of those guys were getting in trouble, they would get suspended. And the thing is, the difference between Paul Tagliabue and Roger Goodell is known for bringing the hammer down, even for a minor infraction. Yeah, they suspended Tom Brady for something that he may or may not have done. They suspended him for 4 games.
Well, Roger Goodell is thinking about that money. He's thinking about brand.
Think about that money, but think about the foul play that's going to be called. Now, I'm going to just be real. Are you going to risk? Look, you can think about that money. Everybody loves money. But in the great words of the late, great John Thompson, money is very important, but there's also the mentality of a hell of a lot of people who are in jail. But the thing is, how many times are you going to let the Kansas City Chiefs slide? He should have been suspended last year. It lingered all year long. We saw this before Yes, we saw this at the beginning. We didn't see this at the end of the offseason. We saw this at the freaking beginning of the offseason.
We know, and we felt that Commissioner Goodell could have done something, but at the same time, champ, he does have Article 46, which was given to him by the teams and the players. He is the judge, juror, and executioner. he can determine, and however he wants, fair or unfair, it's written. So Roger Goodell, he should have gotten over with, but he didn't. And BRF, to your point, man, the Chiefs, they kind of like the Dallas Cowboys, because unlike the Dallas Cowboys, they're winning at this point. And you look at them, all them off the field issues that they've had. But at the end of the day, Roger Goodell's not going to do anything about it. He's going to delay it because he knows Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. Tom Brady, the Golden Boy. There's still going to be conversations of Patrick Mahomes as far as GOAT conversation. Andy Reid, there's going to be conversation. Well, I'm sorry, champ. I mean, it is. It's going to. I mean, he is. LeBron James is still in conversations for GOAT conversations, regardless of what you want to say. Whether Michael Jordan or LeBron's still going to be in the conversations for GOAT. Patrick Mahomes is still going to be in the conversation for GOAT, regardless. That's just how it is, champ, and you know that.
Until you win 7, I don't want to hear never about no GOAT conversations.
No, but wait, time out. No, time out, champ. That's kind of unfair now. LeBron has 4. Michael Jordan has 6. But a lot of people say LeBron James is the GOAT because all the other things that he does. So we can't use the rings argument.
All right. Let me piggyback on this. What is your sole responsibility as a quarterback to lead your team to? What is everybody getting criticized as far as Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen? What are all of those guys being criticized for not doing? Not winning Super Bowls. Why is Drew Brees held in so high regard in New Orleans? Because he won what? A Super Bowl. Why was Matt Ryan, because I saw him at the training camp, why was he so hated when he was in Atlanta? Because of what? The Super Bowl. In football, you are judged as a quarterback by Super Bowls, no matter how you slice it. Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. But guess what? He's not held in the higher regard as he should because he doesn't have those rings. The thing is, we held Joe Montana in high regard as far as the GOAT because of comebacks and rings. We didn't hold him in high regard because of anything else. That's what we held those guys in high regard for. Now, in basketball, you can name a lot of other arguments that you would like. You could bring up the scoring title. You could bring up the all-time leading scorer. You could bring up the top 10. You could bring up a lot of multi-factors in basketball. But in that pigskin, when you talk about the quarterback position, you are put on a pedestal after you win Super Bowl rings. The only exception to that rule right about now, which I keep saying everybody is moving the goalpost, is Jalen Hurts. He's the only exception to the rule where people are not going to hold him in high regard. Him and Trent Dilfer, I would say, which rightfully so. Him and Trent Dilfer are the only 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that they won a Super Bowl, and guess what? They're not held in high regard. They're the only 2. Everybody else, you have to win Super Bowls as a quarterback in the NFL. Now, we can try to move the goalposts however we would like to, because guess what? This is modern day, the Brady era is over. But mind you, this is not, I will say this until the cows and the pigs come home, and even the Eagles and the chickens. Tom Brady didn't play in an era full of plumbers. At the beginning of his career, there was some of the hardest hitting you want to hear, you want to be in the NFL. He was getting knocked the crap out during that era. We've seen it. It's documented. He played in the era with some of the best defensive players. Ray Lewis, just to name a few. You could almost stop at Ray Lewis. But he's beaten some of the best teams of nearly all time. So as far as GOAT conversation, we judge that by them. You can talk about whatever you would like to. The people can move the goalposts however they would like to. But historically, quarterback was about winning them rings. That's why Peyton Manning got criticized, because he couldn't win one until he eventually got one. That is why Lamar Jackson has been criticized. That's why a lot of the quarterbacks outside of Patrick Mahomes is being criticized, because they don't have what? Rings. It's crazy how this happens, right? It's crazy how we hate to use the ring argument when it comes to the GOAT conversation, but we criticize every other great quarterback for not having one. You know, that's more than fair. And people talk about LeBron James. Did people really give a crap about that all-time leading scorer record until after he broke it? Because if we cared about that, we mentioned Kareem a hell of a lot more as far as GOAT conversation, because he has the best.
He's in my GOAT. Well, Kareem's in my GOAT conversation, but that's not the hill nor there.
I'm talking about the masses themselves. I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about, we know, with us as basketball savants, we know. But
we know, but you're talking about the mainstream media.
Yes.
I mean, the hell with them, but I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. It slipped. My bad. It slipped. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Did people really talk about, look, even with podcasting, did people talk about that all-time leading scorer, that all-time leading scoring record until LeBron broke it? Did people look at Kareem's resume and say, that's the GOAT? He won 6 before Jordan. He has 6 MVPs record in the NBA. They call it the Michael Jordan Award, but in the reality, the guy who won 6 MVPs, it should have been the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award. But the thing is, when everybody talks about the score record, did people really give it a lot of thought until after he broke it? No. People was talking about when he broke Kareem's record. Was you giving Kareem that same credit when he had the record? No, you wasn't. And the thing is, I give LeBron a hell of a lot of passes. Why? Because guess what? He damn near took me to. He could have put me on that team. I could have played point guard, and LeBron could have took me to a finals. So when you look at that, there's more to it. You have more context in that conversation when it comes to basketball. When it comes to football and you playing the quarterback position, when you come, that's gotta be the SME. Yeah, that's gotta be the subject matter expert.
That is casual. You know that's casual. You know it's him.
I know it's the subject matter expert. I said that's gotta be casual. But
that's him. You know, it's as obvious, champ, as your diet. It's as obvious as your diet.
Yeah, that's my guy.
But here's the thing.
When it comes to quarterback,
go ahead.
When it comes to quarterback, you are judged by winning.
Okay,
you're judged by winning.
Let me ask you this question, champ. Who's your GOAT as far as quarterbacks? Because you've told me before.
Oh, it's Brady. It's Brady.
My GOAT is Brady.
But wait a minute. You said it's based on rings, right? Hold on, big homie.
My GOAT is Joe Montana. My GOAT is Joe Montana. The GOAT is Tom Brady.
But Joe got 4 rings. Brady got 7. Why is that? And not only that, Joe Montana is undefeated, like Jordan.
Yes. Like I said, my GOAT is Joe Montana. The GOAT is Tom Brady. That's 2 different things. My GOAT is Joe Montana. The reason why is he played the defenses that he played in the 80s. When you think about the 80s, you think about Joe Montana and those defenses. You think about Lawrence Taylor. You think about the Philadelphia Eagles. You think about the 85 Bears. You think about the LA Rams back in those days. You even think about one of the greatest defenses that never won a Super Bowl in his own division. Hey, you know this, BRF. Remember the Dome Patrol?
The Dome Patrol with the Saints.
Yes, they used to beat the hell out of us when they used to come to Atlanta. So that's why I put him as my GOAT, because he beat some of the greatest defenses of all time. And when he got to those Super Bowls, he faced he beat every MVP once he got there. When he got to his first Super Bowl, Kenny Anderson was the MVP. When he got to his second Super Bowl, Dan Marino was the MVP. When he got to his third Super Bowl, Boomer Esiason was the MVP. So he beat 3 MVPs on his way to the Super Bowl. But so that's the reason why Joe is my GOAT, because of the defenses and everything and all the factors that went into play. And before people say anything, he won 2 without Jerry Rice, without John Taylor, without those guys. So that's the reason why Joe is my GOAT. The GOAT, however, is Tom Brady. My GOAT is Montana.
Okay, but Champ, here's the thing, Champ. If you're going to go by rings, then Troy Aikman has to be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. And Troy Aikman was very underrated, didn't get enough credit throughout his time with the Dallas Cowboys. But you talk about that offensive line. You talk about the defense. You talk about Emmitt Smith. You talk about Michael Irvin. The case for Patrick Mahomes is talent. Outside of talent, outside of Aaron Rodgers, can you name a better talent, not more accomplished champ, than a Patrick Mahomes? Talent as far as throwing the football. Plus, another reason, another argument people can make him for the GOAT. Do I have him as the GOAT? No, but I think he's one of the top 3 greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. The reason why, champ, is because of Andy Reid. As brilliant and as a genius Andy Reid is, offensive mind, he's been to 5 Super Bowls. 5 NFC championship games. He has worked with quarterbacks from Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Alex Smith. But what was the knock on Andy Reid? He couldn't win the big game. Yes, Kansas City, they traded up in the draft to take Patrick Mahomes. But with Patrick Mahomes, he's been the starter for that team for 7 consecutive seasons. 7 consecutive seasons, 7 consecutive AFC championship appearances. He is still, to this day, he's been to a conference championship game every year throughout his career. Was it him or was it Travis Kelce? Was it Tyreek Hill? Well, Tyreek Hill the past couple of years has been gone. And Patrick Mahomes, the first year without Tyreek Hill, 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, becoming the first quarterback since Kurt Warner to lead the NFL in passing yards and passing TDs, winning the MVP, Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl MVP. Mind you, that year against the Philadelphia Eagles, that defense was as good as the defense last season? No. But that was a hell of a defense. Not one time in that game Patrick Mahomes was sacked, and they had a double-digit lead. And yes, we could talk about Jalen Hurts outplaying him, and yes, the first one. But Patrick Mahomes still put him in a position to win. Second of all, he is 29 years old, champ. He'll be 30 in September. If he could win 7, which anything is possible, maybe he could. He doesn't have to necessarily win 7, champ, in order for him to be the GOAT. He just has to win enough. If he would have won that Super Bowl the last year, champ, remember, first team in NFL history to three-peat. No team in NFL history has ever done that. Had he won that Super Bowl, oh my God, champ, you mean to tell me we wouldn't hear conversations about Patrick Mahomes being the GOAT? Although I would still have Brady above him, but you would have heard more conversations. And plus with the talent.
Well, I gotta get in on this, because I have said on record, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to win 7 to ultimately be considered the GOAT quarterback in the league, because of the totality of his career as far as like accolades, records he set, kind of like the LeBron James effect. It's the LeBron James effect. Let's keep it above. It's the LeBron James effect. LeBron James is 4-6 in the NBA Finals. LeBron James has the greatest longevity we've probably ever seen in the history of the league in terms of any individual NBA player. And it's the sustained greatness. Like, did he ever have like a true did he ever peak out to 32, 33, 34 points a game? No, but he did. But he has won a scoring title, and it's just the long sustained greatness on top of all the accolades and the championships is that, because I mean, I have LeBron as the second greatest player of all time. I still have it behind Jordan, but I feel like there is a GOAT case that can be made for LeBron James without matching Mike in six, just from the standpoint of the longevity and what he's done to go on top of the fact that he has 4 rings. And not only that, 4 rings with 3 different franchises. So there's so many more factors that go into it as far as LeBron being considered the GOAT of the National Basketball Association. There's way more factors in it. The reason why I've been on record as saying Patrick Mahomes can be the GOAT without having to win 7 championships is the totality of the career. If this man wins a bunch of MVPs,
his first 7 years in the NFL. Have we ever seen anything like this before? Yes, champ. You can
not
talk
like
about
this. Not like this. Brady's the only one that's close, but not like this.
When Brady was winning Super Bowls, was he getting the credit or recognition at that point when he was winning the first 3 Super Bowls? Because he was labeled at that point game manager. It was really all Bill Belichick in the defense and everything else like that. I understand, champ, different styles, different offenses, different eras at that time. But when and still, Patrick Mahomes, even on his worst day, can you still pick a quarterback above him at this point? Could you pick Josh Allen over him? Could you pick Lamar Jackson over him? Jalen Hurts, who outperformed him in the Super Bowl? No. If you're telling me you picking Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes, either you're an Eagles fan or you need to be drug tested, champ. I understand. Right. I understand that Patrick Mahomes still has a lot to prove, champ, but just because he doesn't match 7 Super Bowls, that doesn't mean he can't be considered the GOAT. Because again, Tom Brady, even when he won his 4th Super Bowl, when he became the GOAT to me, and unfortunately to you and BRF, that Super Bowl against the Falcons, the way that he did and how I'm sorry, BRF, I hate bringing that up, but the way he came back in the Super Bowl when he was the primary reason. Now, we can also look at other reasons. Kyle Shanahan refusing to run the football. When you had Devontae Freeman that year, who made the Pro Bowl, had you run the football more, you would have kept Brady on the sideline, milked the clock, and hell, who knows? You would have scored far more points. That is an
Matt Ryan's the first ballot Hall of Famer if they win that championship.
Yes, you could make that argument. You can definitely make that argument. But Tom Brady came back and win that Super Bowl in an epic fashion. All I'm saying is, champ, Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to get 7. He may not get 7. I could see him at least winning 2 more Super Bowls, and maybe, who knows, he may leave Kansas City. And there are other reasons he could be considered the GOAT, champ. Is it really him, or is it really Andy Reid? Because we constantly talk about Brady or Belichick, who deserves more of the credit. If Patrick Mahomes
and I'm ready for that too.
Yes. If Patrick Mahomes can go somewhere else, prove that he was more than a product of Andy Reid. Because as brilliant as Andy Reid is, as an offensive mind and as a quarterback guy, champ, because we know the body of work Andy Reid has done with QBs. If Patrick Mahomes could win a Super Bowl without Andy Reid, that adds to it. And if Andy Reid drops off like a cliff and Patrick Mahomes is flourishing, kind of like how we saw Brady in Tampa and Belichick in his last few years in New England, if we see anything like that, there's an argument. He's only 29 years old, fam. He's got another decade left. As long as he can stay healthy, God rest wishing him nothing but the best. And the future is bright. And the reason why they lost that Super Bowl, he didn't play well in that Super Bowl. That is an absolute fact. He did not play well in that Super Bowl.
That defense got torched.
Well, they ate him up. I mean, the Philadelphia Bulldogs with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. But just because he doesn't have 7 champ, that doesn't mean he can't be considered the GOAT, because I look at everything. I look at your talent. I look at what separates you compared to other quarterbacks that I see. The accomplishments. His first 7 years in the NFL, champ, Have we seen a quarterback as accomplished like him? We saw Brady, and Brady at that point when he was winning them 3 Super Bowls, them 2 Super Bowl MVPs, was he really getting the credit? Because we started talking about Brady on a different level in 2007. Although they did not win that Super Bowl that year, they made it to the Super Bowl, the undefeated season when Brady threw 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, surpassing Peyton Manning's record for the most touchdown passes. Hell, going back to 2004, Randy Moss surpassing Jerry Rice's record for the most touchdown receptions. So there's still an argument to be left to make. And people bring up the fact that Patrick Mahomes has lost 2 Super Bowls. And yes, they got beat out. Tom Brady has lost Super Bowls. Let's not act like he hasn't lost a Super Bowl.
He lost 3 of them. He lost
3 of them. Twice to the Giants and one to Nick Foles, a backup who it was so bad for him, champ. Correct me if I'm wrong, BRF. He contemplated retirement. He contemplated retirement because of how difficult it was for Nick Foles. And Tom Brady threw for over 500 yards in that Super Bowl. But guess what?
Oh, Nick Foles,
lights out. It was
lights out. Lights out. That was like yeah. you don't get too many Super Bowls that were no defense Super Bowls. That was a no defense Super Bowl. That was a no defense Super Bowl to the highest order. But I'll add this on too, though. While we're saying Patrick Mahomes can do this, any drop off, conversation's over.
Yeah. Now, if there's a massive drop off, massive drop off.
Yeah, like if he goes like 2-3 years of, like he's got to be like excellent pretty much like his entire career though. He drops off like if he has like 2 so years, no championships, conversation over with. It's over with.
And before anyone gets on Patrick Mahomes, well, if it took him this long to win his 4th Super Bowl, do you know how long it took Tom Brady to win his 4th Super Bowl?
Almost 10 years.
10
exactly.
years.
Almost 10 years.
That's true.
So for anyone to sit there and say, well, Patrick Mahomes, it took him this long, newsflash, folks, Tom Brady, it took him 10 years to win his 4th Super Bowl.
Yeah, it took him
so eventually,
it's true.
It took a while. And plus, you had to go through the defenses with Ray Lewis, T. Sizzle, Ed Reed, and them. He had to go through some growing pains during that time as well. Brady will tell you himself. So Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to say he's the GOAT right now, but there's still an argument left to be made. He's still 29 years old. He's still at the prime of his career. Does he still have more to prove, though? Yes. But am I going to go by based on Super Bowls? No. Not just Super Bowls. I look at totality, champ. I look at the eye test. I look at your talent. I look at all the other things that you've accomplished, your value, you impact. What separates you compared to your peers? Patrick Mahomes, compared to all of his quarterbacks, and there are a lot of great quarterbacks we talk about all the time, from Burrow to Allen, it's still Mahomes and everyone else. So come on now, big fella.
Hey, I'm gonna stand on business. You got to.
I respectfully disagree.
I gotta. Like I said, I gotta
disagree. But the thing is, like I said, Joe was considered the greatest of all time because of them rings and how he led the team. Brady did not get there until he cleared Joe Montana. Even after he won that 4th one, there was still a lot of people saying that, okay, he has to clear Montana. You have to clear somebody in some way or another in order for you to be considered better. And the thing is, look, let's just be clear. Tom Brady, although people were saying he was a game manager at the beginning of his career, and hey, rightfully so. But the first 2 Super Bowls that he had no Pro Bowler or Hall of Famer at the skill position. Matter of fact, you can't even name me his receivers outside of Troy Brown. Much like, outside of Troy Brown, Deion Branch, none of those guys are proeminent Pro Bowlers. No,
they weren't.
The only perennial Pro Bowler that he had doing those first three was clock killing Dillon.
Corey Dillon.
And you knew he was going to a Super Bowl once they acquired him. Once he got a receiver like Moss, once he got receivers like Wes Welkers, Dante Stallworth, you got to see what he can really do. And he went into the stratosphere when he got another Hall of Famer in the form of Gronk and another guy who would have been a Hall of Famer had he lived, God rest his soul. So you got a chance to see everything that he would have been had he had an offensive onslaught like his counterpart Peyton Manning did. We haven't seen anybody do those things at the beginning of their career. But also keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes came into an offense that was top 3 the year before he took over. They was top 3. They was top 5 every year that Alex Smith was there before Mahomes got there. He had a Tyreek Hill. He had a Kareem Hunt. And I've made the argument. I've made it on your pod. Had Kareem Hunt not gotten in trouble that year when Patrick Mahomes first started, when he won the MVP, they'd have went to the Super Bowl. Because remember the year before, he led the league in rushing. Tom didn't come in with all that. He had that defense, and his running back was Antoine Smith. It was ball control, defense, manage the game. He didn't have all of that coming into it. He didn't have an offensive-minded head coach. Matter of fact, Bill Belichick was on the verge of being fired. There was a lot, much like Greg Popovich was before Tim Duncan. He was on the verge of getting fired. Brady wasn't even the starting quarterback. It was Drew Bledsoe. They went 5-11 the year before, and they still paid him a $100 million contract. Not just because of the story of what you overcame, but when you finally gave you the Peyton Manning-like weapons that you finally wanted to see you with, we got a chance to see what you can really do. And you was in the MVP conversation damn near every year after that. So not only did you make it statistically, you own every record statistically as far as passing records, touchdowns records, completion. You own all of those records in the NFL, but you also got so many rings you can't even fit them on one hand. So it goes more than just the rings, the talent himself. And Brady didn't have the best arm.
No, but as time went on, he gradually improved and got better and better.
He didn't have the speed. He had the intangibles that made him great and made him into a great quarterback. And guess what? We wouldn't have, look, after Brady left, he was the undisputed GOAT then. After he won 6, he was the GOAT. Once he left Bill Belichick and wouldn't won down there in Tampa, where they hadn't had anything in years, after that 0-2 season when they won,
that added to that.
It added to it. You want it.
But I said, champ, we gotta wait and see with Patrick Mahomes. He's 29. And on top of that, champ, we've just like you said, Tom Brady took it to another level with talent, transcendent talent. We've seen Patrick Mahomes with less tier talent, and he was still able to prove it. So that lets you know that Patrick Mahomes can succeed and flourish regardless of the circumstances. And yes, to your point, they had to, yes. And to your point, you bring up, yes, they had top offenses with Alex Smith, but it wasn't nothing comparable compared to what Patrick Mahomes the first year or when he won the MVP the second time. And the reason why they brought in Patrick Mahomes, because remember, Alex Smith, what was he known for? Checking down the football, not taking too many chances. And Andy Reid wanted a guy who can push the ball down the field consistently like Patrick Mahomes. And there were the risks with Patrick Mahomes. Texas Tech, Big 12 offense. Again, not enough defense. You know, there were comparisons between Aaron Rodgers, but also Brett Favre, because Patrick Mahomes would make bad mistakes from time to time. He's dispelled that. Just like how Brady dispelled how the way he was knocked coming out of the combine, because all the draft experts said worst workout ever by a quarterback, slowest 40, weakest arm. Brady, as time went on and improved. And just like how Mahomes flourished and capitalized with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, we've seen him without Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce, you cannot tell me Travis Kelce is the same tight end right now you've seen 5-6 years before.
No,
He's not the same tight end what he once was. Yes. Yes. Have the Chiefs gotten preferential treatment, bailed out on stuff? Yes, but same thing could be said with the Patriots as well, champ, too.
absolutely.
We can't
they made me sick. Oh, they made me sick. They made me sick.
But champ, he's only 29. Do I think he's the GOAT yet? No. But if he could win Super Bowls, now to BRF, where BRF and I completely agree with you, and where we respectfully disagree, big fella, although you're more than welcome to be invited to the cookout. I mean, we always gonna serve you. You're always gonna be welcome to the cookout for a good meal.
It ain't number love in these corners.
But where BRF and I do agree, if we see a huge drop off with Patrick Mahomes, then the GOAT conversation is over. Tom Brady, we saw in the second half of his career, took it to another level. If Patrick Mahomes could do that, champ, then you can make the argument. Then we can make the arguments for Mahomes as the GOAT. Plus, I also mentioned he has to win a Super Bowl without Andy Reid. If he could win a Super Bowl without Andy Reid, that adds to his legacy even more. Because was it really him or was it really Andy Reid? Because it's great to have a brilliant offensive mind like Andy Reid, but Andy, you've never had a quarterback of this caliber before. And we've seen you with good quarterbacks. You've been to numerous conference championship games. And I hate to say it, you've choked. So, but again, boy, we running out of time, but boy, we gonna clip this. We gonna damn sure clip this. But that's entertaining. This is why Undisputed World Champ coined the term the highlight of Friday nights.
Exactly.
Y'all want to know something about? Y'all want to watch great content? Look no further than the Sports PSP podcast. Not just with me, the two big fellas, BRF and Undisputed World Champ. But speaking of which, my favorite topic: babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, babyface means good guy, heel's a bad guy, tweener is somewhere in between. So I come up with a list of athletes, celebrities, or some people you may not know whether they are a babyface or heel. All right, the first one, BRF will go first.
Okay.
NFL. We're going to go NFL on this one. We're going to go NFL on this one. Ed Reed.
Babyface. Ed Reed a babyface. Ain't no for me. Ed Reed a babyface. Ain't nothing tweener about him. Ain't nothing heel about him. Ed Reed was one of those Ed Reed like one of them AJ Styles baby faces, like innovative, in your face, just did everything right, just did everything great, did everything great, could play center field and in the defensive backfield,
hard hitter.
Hard hitter. I mean, can play in the box, can play center field, can play any level in a defensive scheme you ask him. And if he wanted to, he probably could have played corner. He probably could have played nickel corner if he wanted to. He was that athletic at his peak, played special teams. I mean, you ask Ed Reed to do something, he could do it, and he could do it to an elite level. That's just how good he was. He is in my he's in my top three all time safeties. He's in my top three. So there's nothing that man couldn't do. I mean, and there's really nothing bad you can say about him. He was like the quintessential teammate to have as well. So This was a quick one for me. Ed Reed is nothing. Like I said, he's like one of them AJ Styles type of innovative baby faces. He's a baby face. I mean, there's just in the discussion for me. Ed Reed's a baby face.
I ain't got nothing to say. He babyface. You got something to say, champ?
He's an undisputed baby face. What's so funny about that? People are probably gonna, when you clip this, are gonna probably point and say, "Well, during his Miami days, no." Remember, no. Remember that version of the University of Miami in the 2000s? They did their best to be exactly the opposite of the guys in the 80s. They did the exact opposite. He said, man, all of us made sure that we went to class. The only time they stayed out of class is when they played Florida State. The only time they stayed out of class is when Florida State week hit. But the thing was, he said, we wanted to prove that we was every bit as good on the field, but we want to prove that we were not the bad boys anymore. That's what they wanted to prove. And they proved that. Plus, man, part of two of the greatest teams of all time, man. The Ravens that won the Super Bowl, one of the greatest teams of all time when they beat Colin Kaepernick and the San Francisco 49ers.
Joe Flacco was balling that postseason.
Yes, he was. One of the best playoff runs of all time when you think about that. Then, University of Miami, the greatest football team in college history. Greatest in college history. Over 16 first-round picks came from that one team alone. 16 hot picks. There's no telling how many Hall of Famers are coming out of that school. I mean, Ed Reed's already in the Hall of Fame. Ed Reed's already in the Hall of Fame.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. We're trying to remember that. We're trying to remember those squads.
Is in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, boy. Trying to remember those names.
Remember that 01 team with him, Russell Soul, Sean Taylor.
John Taylor's on that squad. Brian McKinney.
Sean Taylor was on the bench.
Vince Wilfork's on that squad. Jonathan Vilma's on that squad. Brian McKinney's on that squad.
Clinton Portis,
Frank Gore, Clinton, Santana Moss, Frank Gore, Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee,
Jeremy Crockett,
and Kellen Winslow Jr. at the same time. Jesus Christ, bro.
I believe Greg Wilson was on that team too.
And Antrell Roll.
Yeah, so you're a part of one of the greatest college teams of all time. Well, the greatest college team of all time, and you're part of one of the greatest defenses of all time and teams on that. Plus, man, Ed Reed was a likable guy. He was very, very likable. If you was on the opposite team, he pissed you off because of how many interceptions that he would get. But he was a very, very likable guy. He was very, very professional. He was very, very. You really didn't hear about him getting in trouble. The only time you ever heard controversy is when they let him go at the HBCU, and that was because, they lacked funding, and he called them out on it. And that was the only reason why you would even remotely consider him as a tweener or as a heel. But that wasn't his fault. Even the kids loved him, and when he got hired at Bethune-Cookman. When he got hired at Bethune-Cookman,
remember the video of him with the cart? Remember he was going on the golf cart? Yeah,
and rightfully so. I mean, Deion had been complaining about that for years when he was in Jackson State. About how sometimes certain things are not right. But the thing is, when you talk about Ed Reed, one of the greatest defensive players of all time, you're part of one of the greatest defenses in the NFL of all time. You're part of the greatest team of all time. The 01 Miami Hurricanes. And look, everybody feared you when it came to you playing safety. Everybody feared you. And during an era where there was so many great safeties in the league, you was at the top of damn near everybody's list. You and Troy Polamalu. Think about the great safeties that were in the league at that point. You had Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu. You had Adrian Wilson that was in the league. You had Lawyer Molloy, not Marvin Harrison, excuse me, Rodney Harrison.
Yes.
And
John
then
John Lynch. You had John Lynch. You had who else you had?
Although
don't forget about Dallas. Don't forget about Dallas. My mom used to be a big fan. Remember Roy Williams? Yes.
There's also the infamous safety. I don't want to mention his name. I
I know who you talk, but he should be in the Hall of Fame had he not done the bull drive that he was doing.
No question about it.
So he would have been in the Hall of Fame. So when you think about all of those safeties during the 2000s,
we didn't even say Brian Dawkins. We didn't even say Brian Dawkins.
Brian Dawkins. We forgot about him.
Brian Dawkins. When you think about all of those guys, Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu was at the top of everybody's list. Not to mention, look, people don't like to acknowledge this. He had to replace. They drafted him to replace Rod Woodson, and the Ravens didn't miss a beat.
Yes.
And Rod Woodson is one of the greatest safeties and cornerbacks of all time. They drafted him in order to replace him because remember, Rod Woodson went to the Raiders.
Right.
And ended up going to a Super Bowl there. And the Ravens didn't miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat. So when you think about all of that, man, and like I said, he ain't getting in no trouble off the field. You ain't hear about Ed Reed being a bad teammate. You ain't hear about that in college, and you ain't hear about that in the pros.
He's just competitive. That's just
competitive, and that's what you want in a safety, man. You know, and then, now what used to kill me when he grew his hair out, everybody started calling him the soloist. Remember that movie with Jamie Foxx? Everybody started calling him the soloist. But yeah, man, Ed Reed, undisputed babyface, man. Ed Reed was one of my favorite players, man. You know, especially when he was at the University of Miami, man. Hey, man, don't let him intercept the ball anywhere because he got the potential to run that thing back.
He was my he's my favorite safety of all time to watch. And if there's one play that pretty much sums up Ed Reed as a player, was the play against the Jets where he intercepted the ball in the end zone and he's taking it back to the house. And they show camera on Brian Billick. He's like, no, get down, Ed. Get down, Ed. Get down, Ed. And Ed keeps running and he finna score. And Brian Billick's like, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. And he ends up scoring the touchdown. So if there's ever a play that describes Ed Reed as a player, go back to that Jets game where he picked it up in the end zone and took it to the house. That's Ed Reed as a player. That's just instinct. That's athleticism. That's just everything.
Not to mention when he was on kick. Not to mention he was on punt return. And his guy was
that one against the Colts.
Yeah, and he wanted and he just cleaned dude's clock with the crackback block. They need to bring crackback blocks back, to be honest with you, because that was a great part of football. I missed the crackback block, probably because I used to do them all the time. But I used to love that, man. But look, Ed Reed, man, you made watching football special. You made guys, you glamorized the defensive side of the ball. And the thing is, you know, at one point, although you had a lot of great defensive players on that team, and it started with Ray Lewis, then Terrell Suggs, and guys like that, many people would make the argument he was probably not the best on that team, but probably the most important. So, Ed Reed, man, look, you made my childhood special, man. I mean, watching you from 2000 all the way up until the point where you retired, that was something to behold, man. And look, I thank you. I watched you all the way when me and my father used to watch you at the University of Miami with those great teams, and I watched you at the Baltimore Ravens, and that was special, man. But undisputed babyface, man. There ain't nothing bad you can say about Ed Reed unless you're trying to fish for something. Unless you're trying to reach for something so hard that you break your arm. You really can't tell me anything bad about Ed Reed that you found.
All right, next one. Undisputed world champ. You go first. Terrell Owens.
Oh, man. He's a tweener in my humble opinion. The reason is his talent was great. But when you think about some of the controversies that he had with teammates, that's what really put him in a space where he was considered a villain at a certain point. Which we all what's so funny about the villain? We all love the villain. We all love the villain. We love Darth Vader more than we do Luke Skywalker.
We love the Joker more than Batman.
We love the Joker more than we do Batman. You know, everybody gives the villain the flack for it, but when you're talented and you make the story great, it's amazing. He's a tweener because, you know, the controversy that he had, you know, as far as, you know, with the San Francisco 49ers, overdoing the celebrations, clashing with Greg Knapp, who was the, you know, the wide receivers and the offensive coordinator, clashing with them, getting traded to the Baltimore Ravens and saying, I'm not going to the Ravens because of their quarterback situation, which, looking back on it, could you blame him? You know, I wouldn't trust Kyle. I should have been a bowler either. So I think that team would have been impeccable with him, but I wouldn't have trusted Kyle. I should have been a bowler anyway. But he, you know, the controversy that he had with Donovan McNabb, you know, which, depending on which side you're on, everybody wants to point to Terrell Owens. But the thing is, this is why I consider him a tweener, because everybody going to point to you, say you're the problem. But out of that same mouth, Donovan spoke up for Brian Westbrook the year before when he was getting his contract.
Right. Because before Donovan McNabb, he said it when T.O. wanted a new contract, Donovan's doesn't get involved in the players' contracts, but then he spoke on behalf of Brian Westbrook.
Yes. So, I mean, you could have spoke up or said something, like, because the fact of the matter is the team was in the stratosphere as far as wide receivers when it came to Terrell Owens when he first came to this field, because Todd Pinkston and Trash, they was garbage.
Greg Lewis, Todd Pinkston.
Todd Pinkston and James Trash, yeah, those two. That's what me and my father Stinkston and Trash.
On 4th and 26, or for whatever it was, Freddie Mitchell.
Yeah. Not to mention, do y'all remember when Todd Stinkston alligator armed that ball? Y'all remember when I remember when Joe Theismann, God bless him. I remember Joe Theismann said, I don't know what happened on that play. He has a touchdown. He said, that is how you lose your job as a wide receiver. And he said it on national television. So when you think about that, then he went on to Dallas, which was a circus within itself. You wonder how long it was going to last with him and Bill Parcells. Luckily, Bill was kind of ousted before you could really see any type of drama. Remember he was on that bike like Lance Armstrong with the helmet on there because he was hurt, and everybody was pointing to it. Remember his beef with Tony Romo because Tony Romo had, Jason Witten became his new BFF. So, there was a lot of controversy involving T.O. throughout his career. But again, we love the villain and we love to blame the villain. Like I said, we love Darth Vader more than we do Luke Skywalker. The only villain that we don't love, unfortunately for him, is Thanos. Now, that's the only villain that I can ever think of that everybody hated him. So when you think about villains of the league, their talent overshadows what they truly are. And the thing is, in any of those instances where he was perceived to be, quote unquote, the villain, you can look at the arguments that he had legitimately and say, well, hell, he was probably right about that. When you look at the situation that was as far as his contract situation, somebody could have spoke up and said something like, we need it. Somebody could have said something. I can hear that argument. When you think about what happened with the Baltimore situation, do I think he should have went to Baltimore? Yes. I would have loved to have seen him on that team. I think he could have provided them a hell of a lot of offense as far as, even if it was Kyle Bowler, because I think he would have force-fed them a little bit too. That offense with him on there and that defense, they already had Todd Heap already. He was a Pro Bowler. So if they could have added a little bit of offense with him and Jamal Lewis, Todd Heap, him being a deep threat, I think they would have been good. But do you trust Kyle Boulder as a wide receiver to get you the ball? Probably not. Like the guy said, Kyle, I should have been a bowler. So, and then when you go to Dallas, I remember Patrick Creighton said it best. He's told Tony Romo, he said, man, I'm going to speak up for T.O. He said, Tony, why don't you stop dealing with just Jason and tell us all what's going on so that way we'll all be on the same page. Remember him and the thing is him and the beef with Keyshawn Johnson. Remember what Keyshawn Johnson used to give him flack. And he told Keyshawn Johnson in no uncertain terms, they got rid of you so they can get me. You wouldn't even be the third receiver on our team. He was absolutely right. So the key in being a villain is people have to see your logic. People have to see your logic when it comes to being a villain of any league or of anything. People have to see your logic and see it through your perspective. And looking back on it, was he really wrong in all of those situations outside of San Francisco? Probably not.
The only time Terrell Owens I felt like he crossed the line was what he said about Jeff Garcia in that Playboy interview.
Yeah, that was way over the line. So
which T.O. even admitted and owned up and apologized to Jeff Garcia. I'm gonna say babyface. I like T.O. a lot. T.O. got personality. I think, to your point, Champ, when you bring up Philadelphia, Donovan McNabb, even though T.O., you can't completely absolve him. He has to bear some culpability. But but what he said about Donovan was true. Remember, it wasn't just Terrell Owens who said it. Hank Fraley, Freddie Mitchell, that Donovan was throwing up. Donovan, the night before the Super Bowl, was drinking. Remember that story?
Mm-hmm.
And look, remember the story in which T.O. and he knows this, and he still remembers this to this day of what Donovan told him, because there was a certain play that they ran, I think was either between the Giants or the Browns during that time. T.O. was wide open. Donovan didn't get him the ball. And according to T.O., Donovan told him, shut the bleep up.
And get back into the huddle. And the offensive lineman came out and said that as well. He backed him up on that.
Right. And look, was T.O. perfect? No. Because again, people are always gonna bring up a lot of the celebrations. The star celebration, the Sharpie celebration, the Sharpie, him signing a football with a Sharpie. They're gonna look at the media day when he was holding out. And remember, he was doing sit-ups in his driveway or whatever. They're going to look at, I think, didn't he do an interview with Michael Irvin in which he admitted that Brett Favre a better quarterback than Donovan McNabb? Even though that is true, but still that is unpopular for you to say that, though, because you're playing with that guy.
I think that interview got blown out of proportion because the thing is, he was asked, if Brett Favre was on this team, what would it be? Because remember, Donovan was injured during that time as well. He was hurt. He said, well, we'd probably be undefeated with him on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to piggyback on what you're saying, he probably should have said, he ain't Donovan, but I think we'll be undefeated on this team. He could have said that. But, even though we know Brett Favre, despite all the bull jive, he's better. But the thing is, he was asked, what do you think would happen if Brett Favre? Because remember, Brett Favre was struggling bad during that season. It was bad. It was real bad in 2005. Remember, they was talking about Brett Favre, the possibility of him being retired, because the Green Bay Packers had zero talent at a certain point. And he said, what do you think if they would put Brett Favre on this team, considering how everything was going in Green Bay? He said, we'd probably be undefeated. And I think that whole interview got blown out of proportion. It's like, who's not going to say that the greatest of your generation, arguably, I will say, is you would be undefeated? Well, who wouldn't say that? Now, at the same time, you're going to say your quarterback is better. You should have said that, but it's Brett Favre. He was before Tom Brady became Tom Brady. Brett Favre was the grand poobah of the NFL. He was the absolute face as these guys were coming in.
And let's not forget the Super Bowl. Terrell Owens had no business being in that Super Bowl.
No,
he was on one leg. 9 for $122. He was the best player for the Eagles and was labeled selfish for playing in a game of that magnitude, given the injury that he dealt with.
And he had to sign a waiver as well.
Right.
He had to sign a waiver for that as well. And
if anybody had done that, they would have been commended. If Tom Brady had done something like that, he would have been commended. But because it's somebody who you particularly dislike, it's easy to dislike or hate them. And I think with T.O., and look, although I what he said about Stephen A. Smith, I still can't get over in my head on First Take. I still can't get that over in my head. Would I have said it on national TV? No. Now with Marcellus Wiley, who used to work with Max Kellerman, still friends to this day, he did say something. He wouldn't go that far, but he did say one thing. Max Kellerman knew and understand about Black culture more than you, Stephen A. And the more I look at it with Max Kellerman's departure from from First Take, Max was a lot more valuable than you actually think. Because you look at First Take now, how they doing right now, champ?
It was a nasty place. It's a mess wherever you step. But it's a lot of things that's contributed to that. Like I stated, ESPN is a nasty place right about now, although they're acquiring everything. I think with NBA, inside the NBA, after the season opener, they're not going to have that until the Christmas game, and it's not even going to come on every week. So when you talk about
they're already messing up with.
You look at BRF's face.
They already. I'm telling you. They ain't even started airing inside the NBA on the ESPN, and they already messing up.
Yeah, they're not going to have it every week, and outside of the first week, it's not going to come back on until Christmas. So when you look at ESPN, that is a network that has its head up its 4 point of contact at this point. Because why would you bring a show to you and then not use it? That's weird. And like I stated on a video that I made the other day, I really think that it was a matter of kind of putting them in their place at a certain point. Because remember what Shaq said when he came on the last episode. He said, I'm letting the network know we ain't coming over there to blank around. And I really think they wanted to kind of put them in their place by saying you're not even going to come on every week, and you're not even going to be on after the opening week until after Christmas. I really think it was a ploy to kind of put them in their place. To say you're not bigger than this network. It's kind of like when WCW came to the WWE. That's what I compare it to. That's what they were trying to do with them. But ESPN as a whole, the ratings are down. Baseball tonight. I think baseball tonight is leaving. BRF.
Baseball tonight's leaving too. Yes.
Yes, baseball tonight. So it's not the powerhouse that it used to be. You can buy up everything all you want to, but you can buy up as many assets if you want to. But when you're not the powerhouse that you used to be, that's a whole nother ball game. But they're not the powerhouse that they used to be, and them not using inside the NBA goes to show you how out of touch they really are as a network.
It is, and that's why Michelle Obama said it's more like reality TV nowadays. And other than watching the live sporting events, I'm not going to watch ESPN as much. But Terrell Owens, I say babyface because I think there was far more good than bad. And again, teammates of his come to his defense. Brian Young, Greg Lewis, others. Was T.O. perfect? No. but I think he got a bad rep. And I think how the media perceived him and the reason why he didn't get into the Hall of Fame the first try was because of people like Skip Bayless. Now, Skip Bayless doesn't vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's not involved in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but he has a huge platform. And because of his platform, I think the media took what he said, what Skip said into consideration, and as a result, kept him out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, media played a role for T.O. not getting to the Hall of Fame the first try. Because when you look at T.O.'s numbers, they're right up there. 15,934 yards, 153 touchdowns, 1,078 receptions. And look, is T.O. the better wide receiver than Randy Moss? No, in my opinion. And Randy Moss,
mine is. We'll agree to disagree.
Oh, I believe Randy's a more talented wide receiver than T.O. Randy got the speed. Randy got better hands, in my opinion. Now, T.O., as far as yak, you can it depends, because Randy, the minute he has a crease, he's going to explode. And T.O. does have speed, and he has the physicality to go along with it. But Randy Moss, he got in on the first try. Why was that? Not just because of his talent. He is with ESPN. So because he's with the media, because he's with ESPN, Randy, in my opinion, he got preferential treatment. Fair or unfair, that's just the truth. And we talk about T.O.'s behavioral issues. I'm sorry, let's not ignore Randy's. Randy Moss, unlike Terrell Owens, and he stated, I play when I want to play. And he demonstrated that in Minnesota, damn sure in Oakland, which is why he was traded to New England. And he's been on several teams like T.O. People talk about San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Check Randy Moss. Minnesota, Oakland, New England, Minnesota, Tennessee, and San Francisco. Okay? Both were great wide receivers. Whether Randy, T.O., Randy. They were right there. There was them, Marvin Harrison, other great wide receivers at that time. So the double standard. I believe if T.O. had he got involved in media, if he would have got involved in media, I believe he would have had the same type of treatment like Randy Moss, and he would have gotten in on the first try. That's just my opinion. The reason why I also say babyface with T.O., because I think with T.O., he's gotten such a bad rap from a lot of people in the media, particularly Skip Bayless, who is no fan of, who is no favorite for athletes. I mean, Charles Barkley, Troy Aikman, of course.
Chris Carter, especially.
Yeah, because remember, we all know the story. Because remember, Skip Bayless was a Tim Tebow fan. Yeah. And Skip Bayless brought up the point. You see, because of that problem, because of that logic, you ain't won a Super Bowl. Chris Carter said, I'll never be on your show again. If you ever say that again, I'm going to punch you. But, and look, T.O., was he perfect? No. He had some issues. But remember, not to excuse it, but to explain it. Father lived right across the street. Didn't even acknowledge him. There were a lot of stuff that T.O. was going through at that time. Now, does it excuse it? No. However, it does explain it. And he felt like he got a bad rap. He felt like there were a lot of people who were out to get him. Because I remember all the conversations that he had with Shannon Sharpe. I think with T.O., he has gotten a bad rap. He was a hell of a football player. One of the preeminent wide receivers at that time. Should have been a Hall of Famer. Should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer the first try. But you wanted to set an example out of him, the media. And this is why sometimes the media, it makes us look bad because, again, we're supposed to have integrity. We're supposed to judge people accordingly. Well, you didn't do that with Terrell Owens, but you did that with Randy Moss. And again, Randy Moss belongs in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no doubt about it. But that's because of his merit, not because he's with ESPN or has any connections with any media. Judge people accordingly. And that's what I had a problem with T.O. because, again, they talk about how clean Randy Moss is. Randy Moss had off the field issues too, Chip. T.O. had none. Remember the incident with Randy Moss? Remember he driving downtown in Minneapolis? Remember when he accidentally bumped his car to a police officer's car?
Yeah, with law enforcement.
Yeah.
And he didn't even apologize for it at first until he found out that it was law enforcement. He didn't even apologize. He was like, "You think you should apologize?" He's like, "For what?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a police officer." And then he came back. And look, I'll never forget this. And shout out to my father, number one, because everything you get from me, you get from him. I never forget when Dennis Green got fired, right? I never forget when Dennis Green got fired from the Minnesota Vikings. I remember my father looked at me that morning and he said, he looked right at me. He said, "Champ, your boy Randy on borrowed time in Minnesota." The minute Dennis Green got fired, I remember my father telling me that your boy Randy on borrowed time in Minnesota. Lo and behold, not just a few years later, I think, let me look at when Dennis Green got fired. I think he got fired in 2001, I think.
Let me check.
Okay, hold on. Dennis Green, God rest his soul, one of the best black coaches in the history of the NFL.
He was.
Okay.
For the Minnesota Vikings from 1992 to 2001.
Yeah,
so he was there for 9 years. And he was there for Randy Moss's first 3 years. So after that 2001 season, they had Mike Tice. But then sooner or later, Minnesota, they just had enough. They just had enough with Randy's antics. And again, Randy, unlike T.O., you could say a lot of things about Terrell Owens. One thing you can't say is that he quit. Randy, I'm sorry. He did quit. He admitted it. I played when I want to.
Not to mention walking off the field right before the game.
It was Washington, that game. Yeah. And people talk about T.O. celebrations. Let's not forget Randy. He did moon the fans in Green Bay, that playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say about Terrell Owens, look at Randy Moss. And because of Randy Moss, and I think because with his involvement with ESPN, it changed the perception of him. They look at Randy in a different view compared to what it was his football career. But I think with Terrell Owens, I love the fact that T.O.'s unapologetic. Now, sometimes it does kind of get him into trouble, but I just love the fact that he's unapologetic. And T.O. doesn't strike me as a liar. Because remember, when, like I mentioned, Champ, when Donovan was throwing up in the huddle, Hank Fraley and Freddie Mitchell, he reiterated to what Hank Fraley and what Freddie Mitchell mentioned about Donovan throwing up in the huddle. He said, if anyone should have been out of shape, it should have been me, because I missed a lot of time of football because of that injury. And this was my first time back since that injury. So and when you look at Philadelphia during his time, Donovan, it looked like more blame. And dare I say, was Donovan jealous of T.O.? Perhaps so, because Philly, they embraced T.O. They were ecstatic. They were happy as hell when they brought T.O. to the team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, Philly, to this day, they wanted to be a championship. They wanted a championship, especially back then before they got one. And T.O. was the guy that was supposed to bring it to. Remember, in less than 8 weeks, he had damn near 14 touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
He could have been. Look, he could have been very well the first wide receiver to win an MVP, because during that year, it was just lights out. It started in the first game. I remember the commentator said that is one asset that Donovan has never had, an athlete of that caliber. I mean, like I said, hold on, let me go to the 2004 season. Yeah, the 2004 season in Philadelphia, he played 14 games and had 14 touchdowns his first year. Remember his second year in Philly, he had 700 yards, over 700 yards for 7 games. And then he had 6 touchdowns. Remember that deal that he made with Andy Reid. You know, he used to like wearing, the Under Armour leggings. But, he said, if I score 15 touchdowns, I come out these leggings, right? He said, if you score 15 touchdowns, he was supposed to have it.
He was.
Yeah.
And he made first team All-Pro that year. He was one of 3 men to be on 3 different teams and became a first team All-Pro. The other 2 men in that category, Ted Hendricks and Prime, Deion Sanders.
Yes.
He's in that category.
He is one of ones. And plus, T.O. was not a first-round pick.
No, he wasn't.
He was drafted in the 3rd.
Out of UT Chattanooga, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
And part of one of the greatest wide receiver classes in history. When you think about that wide receiver class in 1996, it was one for the ages. Keyshawn, and it was headed off by him, Keyshawn, and Marvin Harrison. It was headed off by him, Keyshawn, and Marvin Harrison. Those were the one of ones in that draft class, at the end of their careers. When you think about who came out in that draft, it was one moment.
Keyshawn
was the number 1 pick back in 96.
Keyshawn was in that draft. Terry Glenn was in that draft.
Eddie Kennison, Marvin Harrison, Eric Moles was in that draft.
Terry Glenn was in that draft.
Joe Horn was in that draft. Jermaine Lewis was in that draft. Armani Tuma was in that draft. Muslim Muhammad was in that draft. Eddie Kennison was in that draft. For you to be in a draft class with Keyshawn, Marvin Harrison, Eric Moles, and Joe Horn. Remember, Joe Horn didn't even go to college. He was playing in the Canadian League. He didn't even go to college like that in a major D1 college. He was in the Canadian League. Matter of fact, the only college experience that Joe Horn had was at his community college, at Itawamba Community College. And he went to the Canadian Football League and played and got drafted. That just goes to show you how many hidden gems were in that. But Eric Moles, he's one of the most underrated ball players in the history of Buffalo. One of the best wide receivers they ever drafted. So, yeah, when you think about that wide receiver class, that was a special class. Every wide receiver class since that 1996 class has been compared to them.
BRF.
T.O. he's a tweener for me. I don't think for every, for all the drama, he had big moments in his career where he really kind of took the bull by the horn and really just showed why he was as respected and as feared a player as he was. For every, for the incident in Philadelphia where he's in his driveway doing the push-ups and all that, for every incident like that, he's going out 9 for 122 in the Super Bowl. For the drama that was going on with San Francisco on Jerry Rice's final home game, he sets the NFL record for receptions in a game with 20. So, I feel like for all the drama that he was a part of, he backed it up big time football. And I think there's just a big section of him that doesn't necessarily like him, and I think there's a big section that really likes him. Like, I personally think he's the second greatest receiver of all time behind Jerry Rice, but that's my opinion there. I have him as a tweener just because I just think there's that big section that didn't like the off-field antics and stuff like that, but then you have those that just respected him, everything he did on the football field, but just, his personality and just how he was. So I probably won't go too in depth with it, but I am going to say, for me, T.O.'s a tweener.
All right. I hope Champ is here because I have an interesting one, because last week I surprised him and the rest of the panel last week on the Sports PSP pod. Unfortunately, BRF, you weren't here. We did a cartoon one, which was Stewie for a babyface heel. Champ and I picked Stewie as a babyface. Then after that, we did Quagmire. We both agreed heel, and with Eric Hartman.
Y'all said Quagmire's a heel. Quagmire's a tweener, bro. He's a tweener. He's a tweener. He's a tweener. No, Quagmire's a tweener, because as big as a perv he was, he had very likable qualities about himself. He's a tweener. No, he's a tweener.
The only thing, although we disagree on that one, the only thing I will say in Quagmire's defense, he's not a more controversial character than Herbert. That we can agree on.
That's true. He's close, but I'll give you that one.
Now, I'm going to pick, this is a cartoon character. Lord, I can't believe I'm picking him. Uncle Ruckus.
Heel. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a heel. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No. He is exactly what he said it was. And the only reason I'm not gonna repeat it, because we don't know who's watching the show. So no, he is a heel. And ain't no tween about him. If I was a cartoon character and you put me in the Boondocks, I'd slap him in the face myself. I'd slap his eye straight. He's a heel. He is a heel. He is a heel. Just no. No. Just no. No. There's nothing tween about him. I couldn't stand him. He made the show great, but I couldn't stand Uncle Ruckus and the ground he stood on. I couldn't stand him. He's a heel. He is nothing but a heel.
Baby face.
No.
He a baby face.
No way. No.
He is hilarious. Say whatever you want about Uncle Ruckus. The motherfucker is hilarious. Remember the episode?
Don't get me wrong. He had me cracking multiple times, but I also wanted to slap his eye straight.
Oh my god. One of my favorite Ruckus parts. Season 1, episode 2, the trial of the infamous
What's so funny about that when you know who went to trial, right? They had 50 Cent impersonating Uncle Ruckus. Bro, what in the hell is going on? I'm done.
Oh boy.
Ruckus is a baby face, man. Matter of fact,
no, he is not. No.
Did y'all check the Breakfast Club interview he did?
No, I did not.
You got to go watch it.
Oh my God.
Champ.
Oh, man, look, a tweener, man. I say tweener because I can't repeat half the shit that I would just be real. There's something about dudes like that, not just in It's something about dudes like that, whether it be on cartoons or in real life, that I find fucking hilarious because it's like, how can you be so damn, you know what?
How can you be so out of tune with yourself?
What is your, and you just, no, it's just like you look at them like, bro, ain't no hope. It's like, ain't no hope. And
Ain't
it's
no
just
hope.
like, but there's certain traits about them that you just like, all right, you know what? Even though you are
The man
You
who still suffering from revitiligo. You have to say
it's just
No,
something.
the scene in the very first episode where they move into the new neighborhood and Uncle Ruckus get up there and he sing that goddamn song.
You know what? That was Uncle Ruckus. He's a tweener because, like I said, whether it be in real life or a cartoon, we all know that one guy. You know, in our community, we all know that one guy. But sometimes you just look at it like you. There's no hope for you. But every once in a while, some of the stuff that he say is so outlandish. It's like, all right, it's just I don't even know because it's kind of like a certain reporter's perspective.
babyface
It's
compared to Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, it's like you say some of the most outlandish shit. But it's just like I just look at you sometimes. But the shit that comes out of your mouth is funny the way you word it.
Uncle Ruckus made Jason Whitlock look like Malcolm X.
Damn. Okay.
Gandhi, maybe MLK.
I mean, he could have at least said Huey P, but you know, but I digress, man.
By any means necessary.
But it's like I said, you look at whether it be in real life or a cartoon, we all know that one guy like that within the community. And you look at him and say, bro, ain't no hope for you. But it's just like here once in a while, he'll say something that makes sense. It's just like there's hope for you yet. But at the same time, some of the stuff that he say be so funny. And it's like, you know what? I can't even be mad at you no more, bro. It's just like it ain't no hope for you. But I can't be mad at you because I know how you is.
One last one for Babyface Hill. Fuck it, Kim Kardashian.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna just be real. Just being real. Look, when you think about the beginning and the relationships and stuff like that, people put her in a heel category. But when you really think about the rebranding of her as of lately, the last few years, you put her in the babyface category. You know, the prison reform and stuff like that. But you know what, man? I'm not. Look, I can't believe I'm saying this. But I'm gonna say it on national television, bro. I don't knock you for going out here getting your swerve on, because I be doing the same thing. You know, I'm just being real. And when they look, let's just be real. Look, when dudes do, I'm not trying to excuse the behavior because I don't believe in double standard. No, the thing is this: when Derek Jeter went out there, he dated everybody that he dated. They had a little, baseball diamond, and they had a little bit of everybody who he dated. Let's just keep it all the way above. When Klay Thompson or whoever they go out and date, who they date, we applaud them for it. But when women do that shit, it's like, oh, you nasty, blah blah blah. These shit, they just doing what you do. I mean, now granted, there is a bit of a double standard.
Salute, right? Salute you saying that, sir. I am with you on that. Salute you, salute.
I agree,
so
man.
You can't get mad at somebody doing the same shit as you. So if we both trying to get our swerve on, let's get it on. Let's do it. But the thing is, we can't knock someone for dating. You date in a relationship and you move on. You know what I'm saying? You get caught with and I hate to say it like you get caught with your pants down, do it and move on. It happens. I'm not going to knock somebody because some stuff came out about you. It is what it is. But the thing is, we can't judge, especially it's 2025 now. Back in the 90s, we could say certain stuff. that's unbecoming of being a woman or being a man or whatever. It's 2025. We really gonna criticize somebody for getting their swerve on? No, I ain't. I'm trying to do the same shit. Especially if I had that kind of money and I'm a damn celebrity. Yeah. So
that's because you're interested in that skin, just like you all with Joy Taylor with that peanut butter skin.
Look, man, I don't discriminate when it comes to flavors. I don't discriminate.
I know you don't.
When I go into Baskin Robbins, I'm open to every flavor. So I mean, take with that information as you will. But
Kim Kardashian,
exactly.
Kim Kardashian is a baby face.
Yes, she is. I believe she's a baby face because guess what? Just because you go around here and date what you want to date and date who you want to date and do what you want to in your personal life does not necessarily make you a bad person.
No, not just that, champ. The reason why I say she's a baby face is because again, people didn't take her seriously when she thought about becoming a lawyer. But rest her soul, her father, it was one of the attorneys in the OJ trial. Yep. And Kim does have knowledge. People knock her because, of course, of the infamous sex tape between her and Ray J. But people started talking about her after that. It didn't hurt her career. Actually, it kind of helped it, especially with the reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And Kim Kardashian, people can talk about a lot of things about Kim Kardashian. Oh, is her breast real? Is her ass real? All that other stuff. Yeah, but at the same time, there are a lot of women getting BBLs and all that other shit. So why is that a big deal? Why do you got a problem with Kim Kardashian, whether her body is fake or real? She's still one attractive woman. I mean, there are a lot of women that have BBLs. But last time I checked, we ain't gonna hit that. Come on now.
As me and my boy Calvin would say down south in Columbus, Georgia. Oh, we definitely stabbing on that.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a infamous rap verse. Shout out the one Kodak Black and Super Gremlin. Mm-hmm. I don't need to repeat the line because if you know, you know, but you kind of get a gist of what I'm talking about when we talking about the BBL. Which y'all get what I'm saying. But
so whether she has BBLs or all that other stuff, I don't really care. She's still an attractive woman.
Exactly. What does that matter?
It doesn't matter. And Kim is actually more intelligent. People give her credit for. My favorite of all the Kardashians has got to be Khloe because Khloe's like the funny one. She's like the one who loves to do jokes and all that other stuff. I love that about Khloe. Kim, business, not smart. And people give her and the Kardashians a lot of heat because of the Kardashian curse. You ever heard that maybe it was the men who had problems long before the Kardashians? People talk about people blame her for Kanye's downfall. No, Kanye had problems long before. Kanye was no stranger to controversy before Kim Kardashian. We know that. Remember the same Kanye West who interrupted Taylor Swift's speech back at the VMAs in 2009. He was on that Henny. He was on something. I agreed with him when he said Beyonce should have won that award, though, but I wouldn't have interrupted Taylor Swift's speech. I wouldn't have done that.
No, and then remember President Obama called him a jackass for doing it. So, I mean, the thing is this, look, and I'm going to word this very, very carefully. Young men, should nobody come into your life and make you forget who you are or your freaking purpose. I'm going to say that again. Should nobody come into your life and make you forget who you are or your purpose? People talk about, the Kardashian curse. Guess what? Scott Disick was a butt anyway.
Odom. We talked about Lamar Odom on the pod last week, champ. Lamar Odom had substance abuse problems before he married Khloe Kardashian.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he had that. Remember when him and Rob Kardashian ran off and they couldn't find him for like a week or so?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, remember, Bruce Jenner, he had his problems long before he was with Chris. So a lot of these guys, and remember Chris Humphries, that story tells
72
itself.
72 days.
I mean, Mr. 72 days. I mean, damn, what a trial period that was. I mean, what a trial period.
That's what you call
I'm sorry.
That's what you call the 90-day free trial, and it wasn't good enough, so you cancel early. That's what that was.
And that's what you call changing your email just in time. So he changed that email just in damn time, didn't it?
Boy, I'm telling you. You change the email, you change the email, you change the password.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, the Reggie Bush thing. He won a Super Bowl when he was with Kim Kardashian. There was a jury out on him already of he couldn't run between the tackles. He couldn't run between the tackles in the pros. So yeah,
there were problems long before.
They had problems long before them. It just caught up with them when they got. It just caught up with them by the time they got there. Chris Humphries wasn't that good of a basketball player any damn way.
No.
So
we saw that in Atlanta first, man. He was horrible.
Exactly. That dude was terrible. So yeah, I mean, they talk about the Kardashian curse, but is it really them is it really you bringing your problems into the relationship?
And plus they made it comfortable for women to get BBLs and all that other stuff. Could it be maybe because you're jealous because they're profiting off of that?
Well, the thing is, I'm going to just be real. Whenever somebody doesn't think of something first, then all of a sudden a lot of conversations get started, which we're not going to get into it here, but you know what conversations I'm going to speak, what conversations I'm saying. But the thing is this, I'm going to just be real. Look, you have to be one smart person, not just to become a billionaire, but to lead prison reform.
That says something.
It says something about your intelligence. So you just wasn't out here, unlike a lot of other celebrities, selling the dream. Read between the lines when I say selling the dream, you was actually putting your brain out here to work, putting your brand in the work in order to get some things done. So guess what? You were able to do a lot of things with your brain as far as make billions of dollars, not millions, billions. Your family name has generational wealth right now. And on top of that, you led prison reform. People thought that you were a joke, but you proved that you wasn't. So guess what? You can holler about whatever you would like to, or paint whatever narrative that you would like. But the fact of the matter is, the tape don't lie. What happened doesn't lie. And if she was being taken as a joke, those prison reforms would have never happened.
Yes, and she's also helped out with the NBA, with the Skims thing. And look, she's also helping out. I mean, look, Nia Long also doing the Skims thing as well, too. So before anyone wants to attack Kim Kardashian saying, she a heel, could it be because of jealousy? Could it be because she's able to market and brand? Is it because of the success that she has? Isn't it kind of like some way like Angel Reese, Chip? Because Angel Reese, she gets a lot of flack and a lot of criticism. Well, with Kim Kardashian, I mean, hey. And look.
When you're a marketing genius, and you know how to capitalize on things, a lot of things are going to be jealous. Now, it's a whole different crowd that hates Angel Reese. The same crowd that loves Angel hates Kim Kardashian. Read into that what you will. So let's just keep it all the way a buck. But, both of them are literally the same. They're very unapologetic about who they are. I mean, they're both confident in who they are. They know who they are. But the thing is like this, you can't get pissed off at a person because they capitalize. The reality TV wouldn't be what it is today without Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian family. It wouldn't be what it is. they made it a little bit more popular. Sure, we had Jersey Shore and those personalities, but there's a reason why those shows have been canceled and Keeping Up with the Kardashians are still on. So, I mean, after a while, people forgot those other guys' names. You know, this generation that here now that's 21 years old and younger, they don't remember Pauly D and Jay Wild and those guys. They're gonna remember Kim Kardashian. They're gonna remember Kris Jenner and all of those young women. So guess what? She's a baby face. Like I said, just because you don't agree with something, I'll say this, like I said with Angel, just because you're not liked by the masses doesn't mean you're wrong.
BRF.
I guess. Oh gosh, Kim Kardashian. Because I was about to say tweener, but y'all kind of really like y'all persuaded me. Y'all persuaded me. Because I think it's one of those where it's like, like early on in the career, it was kind of like you didn't know what to think of it at first. You know, like whether it was the Ray J relationship or the show itself, and kind of like all of the buzz it was creating, but not all of it was like good, and you didn't know what to think of her at first. But it's almost like the older she got, it's kind of like, I don't know, things kind of started clicking for her as far as like what she wanted to do, what kind of person she wanted to be, who she wanted to help, and just kind of like build her brand and build her image up. And now it's like you see her, and you do have a lot more respect for her now just because of like who she's ultimately really like turned herself into. Like y'all brought up the prison reform is like the top of the list. So I guess I kind of have to make this I gotta make this unanimous. So I'm gonna go babyface Kim Kardashian. I'm gonna have to make it unanimous.
That's shocking to me, but I'm glad we got there. But BRF, I disagree with you. Uncle Ruck is a babyface. I know you have him as a heel.
Nah. He's look as funny as he was. The movie Get Out was made because of brothers like Uncle Ruckus. Is all I'm gonna say. Sunken place, like I'm talking about. Homeboy so far down in the sunken place. I don't know. I mean, he's just lost, like lost in translation. Like he just gone, like just beyond gone. Like I mean, he was hilarious. Don't get me wrong, and he was one of the main reasons I watched the show because he was hilarious. But good God, like just
Lord, thank God, the white man does so much good.
Oh my gosh, just oof. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like every time I think of him, I think about where the where they were, the two white people would jog, and I guess he was trying to compare the difference. And he was like, they what he say? They smell like lemon and shit or whatever.
When's the last? Then he talked about with a black woman jogging. When's the last time you've ever seen a black woman jogging?
Yeah, when's the last time you ever seen a black woman jog? Like you ain't never seen it. Like it just ain't never happened. Like oh my God.
All right, y'all. Favorite Megan Thee Stallion track? Spin with Victoria Monet. I sent you that track to listen to earlier, Chip. Hot Girl Summer, because I love the women being all ratchet and having a good time and all that ass shaking. Well, I love all that ass shaking. So hey, you can't knock a brother for the ass and tits. Clearly, Klay Thompson, you're winning. You are winning.
I'm proud of
you.
We all proud of you because of the type of woman you currently have right now at this point.
Real quick before you move on, did you see? It was like a meme or something. Did you see the one meme where it was like Clay Thompson is with Megan Thee Stallion because he love her. Clay want a knees, he want ligaments.
Lord, how much?
But Spin, Hot Girl Summer. I was listening to that remix with her and Keith Sweat. I love that one. Mamushi, I like that track. But big ups to Megan Thee Stallion, man. I mean, her style, being from H-Town, the type of music that she does, being the businesswoman. I mean, she is a beautiful woman. I mean, look, just ask The Rock. Remember what The Rock said about Megan Thee Stallion, Jeff?
You said, who would you want to be a pet for? Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion. We don't have to go there. We don't have to explain.
What are y'all favorite tracks from Meg?
Ooh, Big Old Freak.
Yes.
I mean that's the first song. That's the one to put on the map. But I mean, it's a really good song. Great sample. Great usage of the I'll Be Sure sample. Great sample.
Her and Glorilla, Cardi B on that remix.
Oh yeah. What was that? The Wannabe remix? Yeah. Yes, that's definitely a good one. The cash shit with the baby. That was a hot one for a while. Plan B. I love that track. I love Plan B. I love that song. Because I just love the beat to it. That was a Jodeci sample. The Plan B song. That's Jodeci sample. I love that song. What else? Definitely Mamushi. Definitely up there. Trying to think. I don't know, man. Girls in the Hood. I love Girls in the Hood. I love Girls in the Hood. That's like one of my favorite songs. Period. I love Girls in the Hood. So yeah, that's probably. I probably got a few more, but those are like the ones that really stand out for me from Meg. She and I just appreciate the fact that she's been able to evolve like her style. Like with each album, she's been able to evolve a little bit, and now it's like you kind of seem like the full on kind of like it's all together now. So it's like, yeah, she's just gotten better and better and better. So nothing but respect for her.
Champ.
Hey, none of y'all say, wow, what's going on with y'all, bro? None of y'all said, wow, what's going on?
Some things just doesn't need to be said.
Of course they do. That's why you have to say them. Of course you do. I mean, I never knew when the poster came out for that song. They both
for obvious reasons.
No, the thing that stood out to me was the hairdo, because remember back when we was kids, right? Back when we was younger, you knew the prom or something big was coming up in school because every girl had to updo. Every girl had to updo, or how we call it now, the WAP do. So I mean, ain't none of y'all saying WAP. Yeah, man, that was crazy. Body was a good one. Body was a good one.
Savage.
Yeah. Savage was a good one.
Beyonce on that remix.
I love the remix. Oh, I love the remix. I love the remix.
Yeah. Crybaby. Had this one girl who used to hang out with. She used to love the song Captain Hook, so I used to listen to it with her when we used to drive in my truck down the road to Peachtree City. So that was good. But the one that stands out to me is WAP, man. Got to give big ups to that. I salute Cardi B for that one, because a little bit of everybody was in that video, man. Even Ruby Rose, shout out to Ruby Rose, was in that video. So, that was the. And look, when you talk about that video, that's equivalent. Remember how good Shake It Fast the video was back in the day when Mystical came out? That was our Shake It Fast. Yeah, that was hot Shake It Fast as far as the video was concerned. Because everybody loved that video with Mystical Shake It Fast. So, regardless, let's not forget Hiss. Hiss was good. That was real good. So I mean, hey man, I loved her. Look, I know we're not talking about moments, but I loved her when she hosted the VMAs. You know, the different outfits that she had on. You know, she had the Britney
I'm
Spears
surprised you
outfit
didn't mention
on.
her on Love Island.
Yeah, they even listed on the. Oh man, let's not forget the whole. I never forget. We was doing a live, me Flash and BRF, and we're talking about football game. I think it was Sunday Night Football, right?
Uh-huh.
You know that. We were Sunday Night Football, and I looked past the screen. I said, "Wait a minute, is that Meg Thee Stallion?" and I never forget. BR said, "Hey, Chad, what was you talking about again?" He said, "Remain focused." Because I was in the middle of something. I looked back behind me. I was like, "Wait a minute, is that Meg Thee Stallion?" He's like, "Hey, bro, stay focused. Like, keep this going."
Hey, trust me, I'm not gonna knock a brother for looking at Meg Thee Stallion, but I had to keep you there because Meg Thee Stallion, one of those. Boy, you could have lost me too. So don't think I'm not knocking you, because
yeah,
boy,
like that dude
said, she's one of them. She's one of them ones.
Yeah, like that old man said, she walked in the door and every man in the building paid attention. So. Yeah, so man, shout out to Megan, man. You've been doing a damn good job in your career. You've evolved. I mean, there's a little bit. I'm glad that the women rappers are getting their just to do. This is their era at this point. Just being real. This is
not just her, Doechii, Latto, Glorilla, Cardi B.
Yeah, Nicki Minaj. She's still doing
Nicki Minaj.
This era will forever be known as the women's era in as far as, you know, hip hop is concerned. Now, we've had eras where there have been, you know, but this era is dominated by the women at this point. And I think we should just finally acknowledge that. Who you hear on the radio all the time, you hear the women on the radio. You hear Latto on the radio. You hear everybody on the radio. And I think that you can't have that era. You can't have that era without Megan. So big ups to her.
No, you can't. But also big ups to the predecessors as well, the Lil Kims as well. One of my favorite tracks is Ladies Night.
Yeah, her left out, all of them. Like I said, this is the pure, like I said, the main ones that you're hearing on the radio right now, that you're hearing everywhere, all over the place, TikTok, wherever, social media, you hear the women on there. Like you hear the men, but for the most part, you're hearing the women as far as that, which is good. I'm glad we have an era where, you know, where they are heard. So, I mean, regardless of the criticism that it may get, which rap and hip hop has always gotten criticism. It wasn't just now. Let's not pretend that way. And us old heads, I will say, you know, my generation and up, we like to pretend that we're just not hearing, you know, explicit lyrics from women, acting like we didn't grow up on Kaya. You know, we act like
my neck, my back.
Oh my God, man! When they used to play that song back in the club when we was younger, ooh, boy,
that was a jump off song, boy. You ain't never heard so many women get excited in your life when that song played.
Yeah, so
I love me some, and let's not forget Trina.
Yes, and you know Foxy Brown, Lil Kim, just to name a few. So let's stop pretending. Like, you know, when we hear the women of these days, like we've never heard anything like this before. I mean, even back during the 30s, go back and listen to this song called Shave 'Em Down. Go back, and this song was made by a black woman in the 30s. Go back and listen to this song called Shave 'Em Dry, and you'll get what I'm saying. So let's stop acting like that this era produced the most explicit lyrics, man. We grew up, my generation, we grew up in gangster rap where it was a whole lot of stuff. So I mean, let's stop acting like this generation is the first that we've seen. So
man, we can't say nothing. We had the Lil Kim hardcore album cover. We can't say nothing.
That shit was plastered. Then that shit was plastered on my wall. That shit didn't come down to my mom busted in my room one day and snatched that shit off the wall. She didn't even know it was up there because I had it on the back of my door, so she couldn't see it. She looked back behind there and saw that shit. Take this shit out of my house. She couldn't do it out the door. But man, we had that album cover, which we had that. I mean, it was a lot of explicit stuff going on back then. We got to stop us old heads, I would say, gotta stop pretending like this just started nowadays. Like I said, Snoop Dogg wasn't always the lovable uncle. Remember that. He wasn't
Remember the
always.
song? Remember the song? Ain't no fun.
Yeah, remember that song. But yeah. So let me not tell on myself because that was one of my favorite songs. But
and for all the old women out there, who are criticizing the men of this generation as well, let's not forget them D'Angelo posters or that music video that he did.
You remember what 50 Cent said about D'Angelo in that song, Love You, right?
What?
Y'all remember that? He said that damn D'Angelo determined not to sell. He went butt ass for his record to sell. I was like, that was on the 8 Mile soundtrack. I will never forget my cousin Stuart. He said, I want you to listen to something. And he put on that song. Go back and look and listen to that song, Love Me. It was Obi Trice, Eminem, and 50 Cent. I'll never forget 50 Cent came in with the biggest verse. He said, if I was you, I love me too. I love how the boss 911 Porsche, same color as cranberry sauce. So if you go back and listen to that verse, it was a lot of dissing in that verse. I mean, he dissed one of the biggest R&B personalities ever, consider what was going on back then. I mean, he was dissing everybody. Then I never forget he said that damn D'Angelo determined not to sell. He went butt ass naked for his record to sell. So,
but that's
and remember, David Fox made a parody out of that. By the way, on the David Fox.
Yeah, I remember that. I mentioned that to you.
Yeah, I mean, that was I remember Big Boy said that, man. I'm not gonna say what he said. He said y'all always give flack to the women in this generation to giving women the flack for showing everything. Don't nobody say that to D'Angelo. He went on national TV. You know what I'm talking about, VR.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He knows. We all know. Remember when we did the favorite Jamie Foxx topic? I mentioned that, and you were like, "PSP, you the man," because I've forgotten all of that for a long time.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Either that or I pushed it out the back because that's something that you'd rather not forget. When I would turn on that damn TV, see that damn shit, I just turn off the television. I don't see that shit. I'm like, that bad for business.
All right, fellas, one last topic. Favorite Mike Tyson moment. Now, again, it doesn't have to be wrestling or boxing. It could be any moment in Mike Tyson's career. Favorite Mike Tyson moment. His entrance to the match against Michael Spinks. Remember that entrance, champ, and how he beat Michael Spinks in that match?
90 seconds. That was, remember, people don't understand. Remember, Michael Spinks ended the streak of Larry Holmes. People always give Larry Holmes flack because of, the late, great Tupac, because, he mentioned Larry Holmes in some of his lyrics, But Larry Holmes was one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. And for him to beat Larry Holmes twice, when he was in date, when Larry Holmes was 48-0, right on the verge of breaking Rocky Marciano's record, that was special, man. So never and plus he was an Olympian.
Youngest as for Tyson, youngest heavyweight champion in the world at age 20. I told you, champ, even though 96, 98, it was NWO. But Bischoff knew, Eric Bischoff, the moment that WWF landed Mike Tyson back in 1998, he knew, oh shit, competition. And then Tyson joining DX, him and Austin. Remember the way when Austin flipped the bird on him? And then Jim Ross, Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin. And then WrestleMania, him knocking out Shawn Michaels. Although in a weird way, because I've told this to Champ before, and the reason why I will thank Mike Tyson for this, although he's viewed negatively because of obviously of this photo right here.
Mm.
Anytime when I look at that photo, anytime when I look at that photo right here, I always ask myself, what the fuck did I get mad for? Anytime when I'm mad, anytime when I'm angry, anytime when I'm frustrated, I always ask myself, what the fuck did I get mad? Because I don't know, is it sadistic or diabolical or whatever? And again, Chip, I showed you the video of Holyfield with them headbutts.
Yeah. Holyfield was always considered cheap.
Well, he was known for being. Well, I love Holyfield, but he was known for being an expert to headbutts. Remember Rockman? Remember how Rockman's head was swollen?
Yeah, he split his skull.
Yeah.
So,
but with Mike Tyson, of course, The Hangover. Him doing the Hangover movies, him being a star on Broadway. I swear, if I ever had a chance to do a podcast outside of BRF and Champ, Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson, I would literally, I feel like I'm in heaven if I would do a podcast with Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson, and I would ask them like any question from about women, from about their careers, Don King, Mike Tyson, Dennis playing with Michael Jordan, dealing with a lot of other things. I would love to do a podcast with Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson. That would be like a dream come true for me. And my other favorite Mike Tyson moment. Whew, other favorite Mike Tyson moment. There's a lot of them, but the Fat Joe story. Remember him, rest his soul, Big Pun. They were at a club and the bouncers. Remember that story, Champ? And then Mike Tyson.
Yes, man. Look, PSP man. You sent me a lot of stuff in regards to Mike Tyson that I even forgot, and I try to remember everything when it comes to sports. So you send me stuff that I even forgot at a certain point, man. So appreciate that. But that was that was a hell of a story.
But and of course the impersonations. Jamie Foxx, man, he does all the impersonations. He does a great Mike Tyson impersonation and President Trump impersonation as well.
The dog show, get out of here.
But BRF, what's your favorite Mike Tyson moment?
I kind of, even though him joining DX was like S tier, I kind of want to go to the boxing because I feel like at the end of the day, that was that's where he got his bread buttered. That's where he kind of established himself as one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in any sport. I'm gonna go back to like when he got out of jail, the comeback. And I don't know why it sticks out. I don't know why the Peter McNeely fight sticks out so much, but it does for me for some reason, even though we knew it wasn't going to be a long fight. But I guess it's just from the standpoint of, Peter McNeely got on TV and made that little rap to how he was going to handle Mike, and then Mike just mic'd and just ran through him. I don't know why, but it stands out for me because it's one of those where it's like I was rooting for him to get back to the top and become heavyweight champion again. Because I was too young to see Mike Tyson really before the Robin Givens stuff and him going to jail. So I heard of him, but I was a little too young to really watch him. So my first really good live action view of Mike Tyson was the initial comeback after he got out, and just seeing the way he fought and the way he moved, and you get to looking and you like, man, I see. So this the Mike Tyson and everybody was talking about winning the World Heavyweight Championship at 20. So this the guy, because if this the guy, it's gonna take a godlike effort to beat this man. I think the McNeely fight stands out because it was, I don't know, it's just, I like seeing guys. I don't know. I kind of developed appreciation for guys who beat fighters who run their mouth before the fight. I don't know what it is, but I have like this, because it's like, yeah, you can do all this talking before the fight, is when we get between them ropes that really matters. And it was swift, it was quick, almost like, if you want to, it was almost like execution style in boxing, the way he beat Peter McNeely. I mean, it was like, it was about one of the swiftest things I've ever seen. And then and honestly, the Frank Bruno fight. I mean, Frank Bruno. I mean, beating Frank Bruno, winning the title. I mean, like, Mike Tyson was just like, we do all these comparisons nowadays as far as like who would win in a fight between this person and that person, and the one we always do is Tyson and Ali. But you know what? At the end of the day, I respect that. I respect him and what he brought to boxing, and like the fact he had his own style. I mean, okay, he wasn't like the best as far as like if you get him past 5-6 rounds, okay, still whatever. But even still, though, he was his own. He had his own style. He made it work, and I mean, he was just a dominant individual at his peak. So, yeah, I would probably go like those two fights that stand out for me. Just from a sheer standpoint of like seeing his dominance displayed, and there's plenty of fights that he displayed his dominance, but those two, from a boxing standpoint, really just stood out to me. So I would probably pick those two.
Champ?
Frank Bruno Part 2, when he won back the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, he beat him like
that was a great moment.
Yeah, when he won the heavyweight championship once again. Man, Mike Tyson was a big. Hey, man, there's a reason why the late great Biggie Smalls mentioned him in the song. Long nights I perform like white. Anyone
Tyson, Jordan, Jackson,
action. Mike Tyson was a devastating puncher, and the only thing, as great as he was, his career is a what if story. Because you think about, what if Cus D'Amato had lived? What if Jimmy Jacobs had lived? Where would his career be? And would he have been able to hold on to the title for a little bit longer? Because once he lost Cus D'Amato, it was kind of the beginning of the end, as far as his career was concerned. Then, Jimmy Jacobs, he was the one holding on. Then, unfortunately, Jimmy Jacobs, he passes away. So you got to wonder, if those two live, where's his career right now? I understand people are going to say at the end of the day, you're grown, but when you have no structure as a child, and then you come into a lot of money and you ain't got no structure as an adult, that's a hard thing to come into, because usually you're not going to be able to buy your way out of everything. And then especially when you're getting involved with guys like Don King. So you got to think about that. But Frank Bruno Part 1 and 2, he beat him down. I remember Steve Harvey made a joke about Mitchell Green when he fought Mitchell Green in his eye. Remember that you remember that joke on Def Comedy Jam with he was talking about how Mitch Green was talking like this. Steve Harvey joke. He said, I remember Mitch Green, I was talking just like this. So gotta be that fight. I never forget my cousin. Me and my cousin was watching a rerun of that fight, and I never forget. Shout out to my cousin. He was like, "Oh my God, he knocked the juice out of his head." So that's you got to look. When people say that Tyson never had a cagey opponent, they're lying. His name was Donovan Razor Ruddock. He beat Razor Ruddock 2 times. And that was one of the best fighters that he ever faced that he beat. They had a 2-fight trilogy. And he beat them both times. So when people say, well, he lacked the cagey opponent. No, it was Razor Ruddock. Razor Ruddock was one hell of a fighter. Donovan Razor Ruddock. Let's not sell him short because people want to remember other fighters for what, they want to remember them for. Man, Mike Tyson's punch out, Nobody could. Look, if you would have told me that you could have beat it without YouTube, I'd have told you were a liar. Because ain't no way. Well, ain't no way. He was one of the original final bosses of the game that you just could not beat. So yeah, gotta give that credit. When he was on the song with Cannabis, second round knockout, when he was on that song, that was a great moment. When he checked the reporter in Canada, that was that was Tyson. I commend you for that because dude didn't have to bring that up. That was kind of ill-mannered of him to say that. And he and the only thing he said, World Live TV, he said, "I don't care what you gonna do about it." He's like, he said, "You Tyson, what am I gonna do about it?" So, and yeah, he really checked. And I think that reporter deserved it. He didn't have to bring that up. Nobody was really talking about that, But it's funny how you come off as a nice guy, but you're really a piece of crap,
Mm-hmm.
All of his fights were great, but Trevor Berbick stands out to me because he just could not stand up after he got knocked down. When you go back and look at the Trevor Berbick fight, God rest his soul, he just couldn't stand up. He just kept falling and kept falling, no matter how much he tried to get back up. It was just it. You knew it was it. There would never be another. The funniest thing about boxing in the heavyweight division that I say, it hasn't been the same since he left. It hasn't been the same. We all love Deontay Wilder. We all love Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, those guys. But to have a heavyweight that's a powerhouse, that's a pay-per-view box office, that is something special to me. And not only that, Mike Tyson was not that big of a heavyweight. He was only 205.
And he wasn't that tall either. He was only at 5'10", but my therapist, she has actually told me, and I still argue with her to this day, she thinks Mike Tyson 5'4". I'm like, nah, Mike Tyson got to be at least 5'9", 5'10".
He's at least 5. Well, I'm taller than Mike because the thing is, and I'm 6 feet and a half after I take my vitamins in the morning. And I know this because I never forget one of my best friends, he's around 5'10", 5'9". He took a picture next to Mike Tyson and they was like shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, damn, man, I tower over you. I'm like, he said, yeah, he over there just chopping people down. He wasn't a big heavyweight. And when you go back and look early in his career, he moved like he was a cruiserweight or a lightweight. That's how much speed he had.
And the uppercut, that uppercut punch that he had. And plus, he had the reason why people love about Mike so much is because he was one of the few that made it. I mean, considering the fact that he was arrested 38 times by the time he was 12, 13 years old.
Yes.
And was sent to a formatory school and then got trained by the legendary great boxing trainer Cus D'Amato, who thought that he was going to be the next great heavyweight champion. And when you look at Mike Tyson's career, because I mentioned it, champ, had Mike Tyson had Jim Jacobs and Cus D'Amato and not been with Don King, how would Mike Tyson's career have been? It was great, but it could have been even greater.
He probably
and that's the thing that is always going to be a question with Mike. But with Mike, I'm happy that he has turned around his career because obviously he's been through a lot of obstacles. Obviously prison, drugs, alcohol, I mean, the tragic death of losing his 4-year-old daughter. But for him to turn around his career and to be where it is right now, it's amazing. And him boxing, I mean, the way he had to get in shape for the Roy Jones Jr. match, the Jake Paul match, and I loved how Snoop did a hell of a job commenting on the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson match, man. But with Mike Tyson, whoever thought Mike Tyson of all people, Broadway. He had the cartoon show, but Broadway champ. Broadway with Mike Tyson.
Yeah. And that post-fight interview with Roy Jones was very, very telling. And it was like, remember that post-fight interview with, after he went the distance with Roy Jones, he was like, what do you say about people that was concerned about you getting hurt? He said, what do you mean he might get hurt? Why? I'm afraid I might get hurt. Why nobody care about my ass? He said, this dude, I ain't been boxing for almost 10 years. And y'all care about him. He said, I haven't fought in 10 years. I haven't fought in 10 years. He just got through fighting 2 years ago. I'm not a fighter. I'm a beginner. So that was a very, very telling. It was a very, very telling and a very, very comical. It was very, very comical and quite colorful, if you will. It was a quite colorful post-match interview. And look, for you to have a rise, a fall, and then a rise once again is, hey, man, there's a lot of favor from God on you, man. You go from being bankrupt, making over $300 million, and one of the richest boxers in the world. And that's just your purses. That's not even including the endorsements that you had. Remember, at one point, Mike Tyson was bigger than any athlete on earth. He was bigger. I mean, when Jay-Z said 30 mil for one fight, he was doing that back in the 80s.
Yep. That's how big he was.
That's when football players were making $1 million a year was a lot of money. 30 million for one fight.
Wow. And plus, Chap, I don't want to bring this up, but the reason why I had him as a babyface, if you look at the rape case that he dealt with at the time, I mean, come on, Vincent Fuller.
Yeah, he had that tax lawyer on his case. That was a
what the hell is going on in Miami? You said that's like going to Vietnam with a BB gun.
Exactly. It's like going to Vietnam with a BB gun. He was a Texas lawyer. He was not built for a defense. It was not like you walked up in the joint with Johnny Cochran in there. But I digress. But it was a lot of controversy behind that. It was a lot of innuendo about it. There was a lot of innuendo about how they found new things. That's why Connery was released early. There was a lot behind that. But, depending on who you ask, they'll tell you they'll hold that against them. Like I said, they bought, the reporter, like I stated earlier, he brought that up years later, which I feel that was very unnecessary.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have brought it up.
No, I wouldn't have brought it up. Now, I believe if you wanted to talk about Mike regarding that situation, that could have been a different conversation for another day. Mm-hmm. But you didn't have to bring it up right on the spot just like that. But Mike, man, just his turnaround, the rise, the fall, the redemption. I mean, to your point, champ, with God. And I consider him a babyface because, again, he just keeps me going and keeps me moving. Mike Tyson is 59 years old. I thought at one point, I thought Mike Tyson was at some point was going to die. It's amazing to me that he's still living, and God bless him. God bless him.
Was able to put on and if that fight wouldn't have been, and if he didn't agree to a nice little payday, he probably would have won that Jake Paul fight, which everybody was hoping that he was going to just sneak one. He was going to squeeze an inch in there, give him one of them rights, which he had every opportunity to. But
would you love to see another Tyson Jake Paul match again?
No. If they're gonna restrain Mike like they did, because Mike had every time and opportunity to knock that dude out. And as a former fighter, I saw the open. I'm like, oh, there it is. He wide open.
Mhm.
And then Tyson was pulling punches, but hey, that's a little nice little pay. Look, for $20 million, I go out there and give everybody a good little show. See what give everybody a good little show. It's what it is. $20 million. That's a lot of damn money.
It is. But fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP pod. Always a pleasure having y'all on the pod, man. Any final words, BRF? You go first, my man.
But yeah, it's definitely it's good being back on. I've had a lot of fun tonight. Dev, definitely an honor to get back on here and chop it up with y'all, man. I had a blast. And to those of y'all watching, I mean, I know our PSP talked earlier. I'll kind of rehash it. You can follow my IG, my Facebook, my Twitter /X. But just get on there, show you making a little more content. So I'm definitely trying to get back on them. But yeah, like I said, it's a pleasure to get back on here. I hated I missed last week. To be back on. Just the rise continues, man. I'm just glad to be a part of the ride. Always a pleasure.
Anytime,
Topic I
BRF.
talked about. So
there you
always
go.
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure having you on, man. And Champ.
Shout out to people in DC, Chocolate City. Y'all know what it is. Prayers up to you guys, and prayers up to Milwaukee, the floods, and everybody know what's going on in Washington DC. We don't have to get into it, but prayers up to both of y'all, to both of these cities, these proud cities. They're all going through their own little storms at this point. I just want to send my thoughts and prayers with them, and everybody be careful. This is hurricane season. Be very, very careful. And I'll say this. Make sure that you hold your families close, and make sure that you do everything you need to do to show gratitude and to show your family love. Just make sure you do that. And, always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be on the Sports PSP podcast at all times. And yeah, man, Milwaukee, DC, prayers up to you guys. Absolute.
Well said. Prayers, condolences go to Milwaukee and DC. Thank everyone for hopping on to the pod, man. Now over 120,000 subscribers. We're gonna continue to do great things with the Sports PSP pod. Only time will tell. And can't wait, because sooner or later that pigskin, and sooner or later college football season, and of course NFL season. So really excited for a great football season. Really great. Excited for a lot of great things, man. And we're gonna definitely put on the show. Y'all know where to follow me at Sports PSP. Like and subscribe to the Sports PSP podcast on YouTube. Follow me on Sports PSP, also on TikTok, different channel. But fellas, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure doing the pod, man. Y'all stay safe. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. And we is out. Peace.